Yo, what's up, gamers? Welcome to Gym Leader Challenge League Night. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hopefully you're having a lovely day so far and are ready for some Pokemon TCG excitement, because that's what we got going on here today in Full Grip Games. Gym Leader Challenge League Night. Got to do some testing for the Milwaukee Regional Championships on stream yesterday. Had a lot of fun with that. That was cool. And I will continue to test for the Milwaukee Regional Championships in the days ahead. But tonight is Gym Leader Challenge League Night at Full Grip Games. Week number 11. And players look like they are getting ready for their first round right now. We just had a thrilling $3,000 cash Gym Leader Challenge tournament at Full Grip Games this past Sunday, which had a really cool finale. Obviously, Chris Hill versus Jesse Parker, Psychic versus Fighting. Fighting's first ever top 8 at one of our cash Gym Leader Challenge events. Not just Fighting's first top 8, but Fighting also taking it all the way home, winning the whole thing at the hands of Chris Hill. So huge congratulations to Chris Hill. Obviously, Fighting stood to gain a whole lot from the Mega Evolution expansion, right? And we've got a whole bunch of new cards: Lunatone, Soul Rock, Premium Power Pro. All very fantastic additions. And we have 17 players tonight, so that means that it'll be a 5-rounder. So 5 rounds of thrilling Gym Leader Challenge action coming right at you. Round number 1, we've got Cam on the left, Hunter on the right. And I'm excited to see what players decide to bring to GLC League Night with the decks that were successful at the 3K. I got a question in the chats. Can I give my thoughts on the big basic problem that I talked about in the podcast? Well, if, dear viewer, you are a listener of the Tag Team podcast, which I hope that you are, because I do record a Pokemon TCG themed podcast every week with my friends JW Krewall and Riley Hulberts. It's a lot of fun. And definitely recommend it. We've been doing the podcast for a long time. I think the podcast is the longest continuous Pokemon TCG podcast in the game. It's been going since Tag Teams. I mean, probably since like 2018 or so. So a very long running podcast. But yeah, I think in one of the episodes recently, I did talk briefly about. I was not on the podcast this week. No, it was just JW and Riley this week. I forgot my headphones. Yeah, some weeks, one of us can't make it, but round number 1 is underway. Well, let's go. It looks like Hunter is playing his favorite Lost Zone Psychic deck against Cam with their favorite Dragon deck. So, should be a fun one. I also saw that Hunter has in his hand the new Lily's Determination Secret Rare, which I know he just pulled because I watched him pull it downstairs. I was just downstairs moments ago, and Hunter had bought a couple of boxes of Mega Evolution looking for hot pulls. And oh, baby, did he find some hot pulls. He got the Lily's Determination Secret Rare, so very cool, Hunter. But anyways, on the podcast, like, I had briefly talked about the fact that the power level of stage 2 Pokemon hasn't been power crept with the power level of basic Pokemon lately in the Pokemon TCG. Like, if you were to keep the power level of stage 2 Pokemon, even just when you talk about like hit points, if you were to have the power level of stage 2 Pokemon ramp in the same way that basic Pokemon's power levels have been ramped, then stage 2 Pokemon, I would say stage 2 Pokemon should all have like a baseline 200 hit points. Like single prize stage 2 Pokemon should have like 200 hit points and like upwards of like 240. Like the really beefy ones should probably have like 230 hit points. My philosophy is that stage 2 Pokemon in the Pokemon TCG should not be getting one hit KO'd by basic Pokemon, especially the non-rule box ones, right? That's like my thought. So, I mean, really, there's nothing to do about it. We just play the game that the Pokemon company prints, right? Like, we don't design the cards. So, like, what do you do about it? There's nothing to be done about it. I mean, Pokemon prints the cards. If basic Pokemon are all, like, very overpowered, then those are going to be the cards we play, right? That just is what it is. I kind of, that's the kind of view that I have. There's no correcting it. You can't just go and just like ban every basic card they print that's like really good, because you're just going to have a miserable time in a miserable format. So, yeah. So you just play the cards that are printed, and and maybe one day the Pokemon Company creatures will start, getting those stage 2 Pokemon on the power level of like, that I think that they should be at, but that's just my, that's my take. So really not too much to be done about it. You just play the cards they make in all their glory. Here we go. Cam has got a great start. Talking about this match a little bit, we've got Dragon, kind of your quintessential big basic deck in Gym Leader Challenge format. Maybe not anymore after Fighting's dominance this past weekend at the 3K, which was also a big basic deck, right? But Fighting and Dragon are both decks that kind of excel with this big basic strategy. They just got very strong, like, basic Pokemon that the decks rely on. And Cam opens Tatsugiri. He's got a turn 1 Crispin, gets some energies on Drampa, and says go. Hunter is able to get this, what is that, a Uxie? Mesprit? Uxie in the active spot. And has this attack that does 20 damage. I should say 2 damage counters to all the opponent's Pokemon. So this is fun. We've got 2 decks that have very different strategies, right? Like Cam's deck is a basic beatdown deck using dragon Pokemon and high power level attacks. Hunter's deck is a spread deck, really going to be trying to spread lots of damage counters onto the opponent's side of the board while also getting cards into the loss zone. And there are a bunch of different ways to get cards in the loss zone. You can use Culver's Experiments. You can use Comfy. We saw, I think that Comfy was prized, actually, and Hunter chose to get Mr. Mime instead of Comfy. Holy cow, no way. The reserve ticket? Hisuian Heavy Ball into reserve ticket is crazy. Okay, so Hunter used the Hisuian Heavy Ball to get the Mr. Mime out of the prizes, and then is it the something ticket card? Is it reservation ticket? Redeemable ticket. Redeemable ticket. That's it. Yeah. To swap the prizes out. Yeah. That's crazy. So now Hunter has Comfy in the deck. Anyways, Hunter is trying to get to 10 cards in the Lost Zone so that he can use Sableye's Lost Mine attack, which spreads 12 damage counters to the opponent's board. I'm also happy to see the Hunter is playing the Mimikyu with the Copycat attack. It's just a really solid attacker that Hunter can use if there's like a runaway big basic or something that Hunter needs to be able to answer. That Mimikyu can come in clutch with its Copycat attack. One of the strongest cards in the Psychic pool for sure. Just a 2-energy Copycat. It's very good. And you can see, Hunter is kind of like the antithesis of a big basic deck. It's not big basics. They're like tiny basics, right? Hunter's deck is composed of like tiny basic Pokemon and tiny annoying basic Pokemon and various stage 1s that are used as support Pokemon, right? So that's Hunter's deck, right? You can see he's got the Shuppet there on the bench. Has no problem discarding the Sableye off of the Parallel City in favor of Mr. Mime, Shuppet, and Mimikyu because he doesn't have a single card in the Lost Zone yet. And this is the ideal scenario for Hunter. Back-to-back turns where Cameron has been unable to attack. Now, the Dragon deck, notorious for firing off really quick attacks. Very often we'll get a turn 1 attack using double Dragon energy. At the very slowest turn 2 attack, we see Cam does have a Drampa on the bench with 3 energy on it, but has been unable to move that Drampa into the active spot. So now it's had to pass a couple of turns, and that's really given Hunter some breathing room to get set up. And what's interesting is that the Copycat Mimikyu that Hunter has an energy on is a great attacker, but it's not going to really do anything to this Drampa. Drampa's got the Dragon Arcana attack, does 70 damage plus 70 more if Drampa has 2 or more different types of basic energy attached to it. So Copycat would only do 70 damage. Hunter is able to use Lost Vacuum, gets 1 card into the Lost Zone with that, removes the Parallel City, and now is free to use Nest Ball to go get Comfy. And Comfy can start to move more cards into the Lost Zone with its flower selecting ability. Feels like 2023 all over again. Let's go. U-turn board also in Hunter's hand. And we'll use that U-turn board to retreat into Comfy. Flower selecting, pitches the Meowstic to the Lost Zone, and then scoop up nets so that Uxie can make its way back to the active spots and continue spreading with its Painful Memories attack. And the Uxie also has the Horror Psychic energy attached to it, so if Cam does decide to swing into the Uxie, Cam will be taking 2 damage counters in recoil damage. Now it looks like Hunter also is able to establish a Mew from Fate's Collide, which also copies attacks, but it copies your own basic Pokemon's attacks. Lost City. Okay, could be annoying for Hunter to deal with. Not sure about Cam sending the Lost City out so early. It seems like to me that the Lost City might be a card that you want to save to knock out Sableye, right? You could send Sableye to the Lost Zone. And if you send Sableye to the Lost Zone, then Hunter would be unable to reuse that attack over and over. The Horror Psychic Energy will have to place 2 damage counters on the Drampa. And I forgot to give them my walkie-talkies, so I'm going to have to call down. The Horror Psychic Energy should put 2 more damage counters on the Drampa, and I forgot to bring a walkie down, so I'll do it after this round. So, yeah, they're going to fix that. There you go. Bang. Can't trust you guys for 1 round to keep things square. Anyways, Hunter's got 3 cards in the Lost Zone now. Another Flower selecting with the Comfy. Oh, that's an acro bike. Excuse me. I just assume you grab 2 cards off the top. Seems like a Flower selecting. Into a Pokestop, really trying to churn through the deck. Red card will set Cam's hand to just 4. Wow. Yeah, 3 items off the Pokestop. And now we get a Flower selecting. Fog Crystal and Esper. Don't need the Esper anymore because the Meowstic has also been sent to the Lost Zone. And then, what's the play this turn? It's funny, the Lost City is actually having an impact because Hunter's unable to bring that Uxie back to reuse its Painful Memories attack, which is probably something that he would want to do. You can send up the Mimikyu and just swing for 70. I mean, it's not the worst thing ever, right? You just copycats. Do 70 damage. Looks like maybe Counter Catcher is going to be used. I really wouldn't mind to see Mimikyu use Copycat just to get 70 damage. Like, 70 damage is 70 damage. You figure eventually at the end of the game, you'll be able to get Sableye to like clean everything else up. So I would like to see Hunter swing for 70. You can even swing with like the Mew from Fates Collide, right? Because you can just retreat into Mew and then use Mew to copy Mimikyu. It's funny, you kind of got like a double copycat there. We got Rescue Carrier. Gonna bring Sableye back. And the Unknown Farewell Letter sends itself to the discard pile, draws 1 more card. I don't know what Hunter's looking for here. I do think the Copycat is just, I really, I guess you're not in danger putting the Sableye down. I guess that's fine, right? Like, it doesn't really matter. And yeah, I prefer this play from Hunter. Just retreat into the Mimikyu, Copycat, do 70. I mean, like, you don't know Cam's list. Cam could play Lusamine to bring the Lost City back, so I don't really think that there's any reason to bench that Sableye preemptively. I also really don't know why Hunter is like using this Ultra Ball. Like, the bench is full. Why do you need to use an Ultra Ball to discard your Raihan? Like, that just seems like, also, I think maybe Hunter is just like having a really fun time playing all of his cards. Okay, the Banette. Send the Lilies back to hand. But you got to keep in mind, like, Hunter does need to actually, take all 6 prizes. So I don't want to see him overcook his resources. I feel like the only way Hunter loses this game is if he overcooks his resources. So I don't want to see him do that. All right, and then uses the Mewtwo to say, you see what I'm saying? Like, if that all felt like a little overcooked, right? Like, certainly unnecessary. Hunter is going to get to shuffle draw 8 here, though. I can't believe he hadn't played a support yet. It's kind of crazy with how many game actions he's had. Yeah, I think that, sometimes you get to a situation where, like, just because you can play all these cards and do all these game actions, like, there's still, potentially a decent chunk of game left to be played. I know. It's like Ultra Ball away, Treasure, and Raihan just to mind report the Raihan back into the deck. Like, that seems crazy, right? Like, wouldn't you just Mysterious Treasure? Like, wouldn't you just Mysterious Treasure away the Ultra Ball for... Like, isn't it better just to treasure the Ultra Ball and then save the Mewtwo in deck, right? Yeah, so, like, that was just a backwards play. There's really no sugarcoating it. That was just a really backwards play. Like, not a good play. not even, there's no justification for it. Just not a good play. But that's okay. Certainly, I think he got a little lost in the sauce. Overcooked a little bit. Does end up using Copycat to do 70 damage, which I did want him to do. And now the ball is back in Cam's court. And Cam is fielding, way too much damage on their Pokemon, I have to say. Way too much damage on these dragons. He's got 90 on the active Koraidon, 40 on Raging Bolt, 40 on Tatsugiri, 6 damage counters on Drampa as well. Guzmahala can go get Silent Lab, Double Dragon Energy, and Wishful Baton. The Double Dragon Energy, I feel like, is not going to necessarily... Oh, here we go with a Pokestop now. All right. Ultra Necrozma, Dialga, Marnie. Dang it. Oh, you hate to see it, Cam. No, you shouldn't have hit the button. I know, you can see. You can see how much they wanted to hit the escape rope or something. Not great. Not great. Not the 40 damage. Isn't this... Oh, there's 2 ancient Pokemon. All right, so it's like 70. All right, that'll take the knockout. Koraidon with the Fighting Fury belts. 2 ancient Pokemon in play, plus the 10. Swing for 70 damage, I believe. Silent Lab does make it so that basic Pokemon's abilities don't work, so this Comfey cannot use flower selecting. Enhanced Hammer, yep, going to remove that Double Dragon Energy right away. Let's see how many cards are in the Lost Zone, shall we? One, two, three, four, five, 6. 6. Field Blower can remove the Silent Lab, and now Hunter's going to go to 7. And, I mean, Hunter is just in complete control of this game. Tulip can bring 4 in any combination of Psychic Energy and Pokemon back from the discard pile. Get a couple of basic Psychic Energy as well as the Mimikyu back, which feels good. Again, Mimikyu not doing anything into this current board, though. I mean, like, what do you copy here? What are we copying? Like Mr. Mime? Wait. That attack is how many ancient Pokemon? Hunter, you're throwing, bro. That attack does 0 damage. What are you doing, bro? What are you doing? No. You can't choose whichever attack you want. No, with Mimikyu, you have to use the previous attack. Yeah. You don't get to choose which one. I assume Hunter just like assumed it was gonna do like some damage or something. But no, Cameron's Koraidon in the active does 30 damage times the amount of... And this is exactly what I said. Cam plays Lusamine, right? So, like, the Lost City could be big. I'm not sure that Cam can survive a single attack from a Sableye. So Cam is going to have to, yeah, you know, it would be really good if a Crystal Cave was in Cam's deck, but nobody plays Crystal Cave because nobody expects to play against Lost Zone Psychic round 1. Cam's got 4 prizes left. I still, like, Hunter has still not taken a prize yet. So, but let's see, one attack from, how many Sableye attacks we need? You need a couple of attacks from Sableye to clear the board. So that's what I'm saying. Like, if Cam, I really wanted to see Cam like get the Lost City back with the Lusamine. Because if the Lost City comes back, like, all Cam has to do is Lost City the Sableye, and I don't think Hunter can win, like, legitimately. Hunter's only chance of victory in this game is to get... And Hunter has 3 cards left in deck. Literally, I said Hunter overcooked. Hunter overcooked like crazy. I said it. I said it. Now, Mew does have an attack and counter, allows you to search your deck for a Pokemon and put it into your hand. So that's what Hunter just used. Silent Lab is in play. So this Mew is no longer allowed to copy attacks. Like, Cam could absolutely win this. And I feel like it's mostly Hunter's fault. Like, Hunter has really put himself in this pretty bad situation, I would say. 7 cards in the Lost Zone. Needs 3 more in the Lost Zone in order to get to Sableye. 3 cards left in deck. One of them is Iono. But still, even with Iono, Hunter is Ionoing to 6. So, like, not going to actively help him not deck out, right? Like, he needs to actively play, like, 0 cards. And he might not even have a Stadium left in the deck. So Cameron getting the Silent Lab back may have just won them the game. Because Hunter just was playing his resources down. Like Hunter has 3 cards left in deck and 6 prizes to take. I don't know what he thought. I don't know what he was doing, bro. All right, Hunter can promote The Comfy. What's hilarious, Hunter can't even play a card like Colress's Experiment right now because he will deck out. You got to go like Nihilego, Poison, Confuse, Hunter. That's what you're doing now. It's like every... you just really got to be way more careful than this with your resources. And Hunter plays this deck a lot. So I would expect him to be very aware of the fact that he could like deck himself out. So it's disappointing to see. It is. It's disappointing to see this deck screech to a standstill with Hunter having his entire deck at his disposal. We see he's got the Nihilego now. Now, I do love this Nihilego. Very cool card. 110 hit points. It has got 2 single energy attacks. Nightcap. You can only use this attack if your opponent has exactly 2 prize cards remaining. Choose one of your opponent's Pokemon's attacks and use it as this attack. And then Void Tentacles. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now confused and poisoned. So we just saw Hunter use Void Tentacles on this Koraidon. But now, I mean, Cam has got this game slowed down exactly the way they want it. They've got plenty of energy on board. Their Pokemon have damage on them, sure. Now, Dragon seems like it should be a very good matchup for Hunter's deck. These are all basic Pokemon. None of them are terribly big. There's no way to, like, heal the damage. I guess with Pokemon like Raging Bolt, it can be tough, but Hunter plays Mr. Mime as well. All right, and the Drampa will take a knockout. Silent Lab still in play. Hunter unable to use his abilities. It would be crazy if Hunter got 6-0'd in this game. A game where it looked like where it absolutely looked like Hunter should have won. Mere turns ago, I was expecting like the most glorious sweep. And there's like a bunch of different things. Like if Hunter had saved, like if you save Nihilego, like Tulip, if you go Tulip for Nihilego back, right? But even that, I mean, at this point, the problem is that Hunter is going to go this whole game without ever being able to announce the Sableye. And that's like the whole point of his deck, right? Just kind of stalled out with 7 cards in the Lost Zone. I feel like it was definitely key getting that Uxie into the Lost Zone with the Lost City. You know, I was thinking that maybe Cam should have saved that for the Sableye, but now that play is looking like a genius play because Hunter has been unable to get to 10 cards in the Lost Zone, right? So like now that play looks genius. Yeah, I do think that Hunter kind of has to Tulip here. I agree. All right, verse Seeker for Tulip. Yep. And sure, you've got the Nihilego, but like what are we doing? Confuse Poison? Is that what's happening here? Or are you actually going to Nightcap and copy something? I think just going to copy the Dialga's attack and do like 160 or whatever, take the knockout. But then all these energy get passed back too, which is just so bad. Right. And Cam will just pass them back to Dialga. It's got Crispin again. It's just so crazy. Even more energy coming into play. Cam is going to go down to 1 prize remaining after this KO. I think does need the psychic energy for the Dialga. So I'm pretty sure that's just, they're just using Crispin as an energy search, which is pretty funny. Because Cam does need the psychic energy for the Dialga to power up its attack. And you could see, yeah, it's got the metal, the psychic, and then also a fire and a fighting, because why not? But we'll be able to do that second attack. I believe it's 3 energy for 160. And Hunter finds Iono, the last card in deck. I see Mr. Fluffy Pants on YouTube says, poor guy, 1 bad game, and Andrew mogs him for a whole half hour. No, see, Mr. Fluffy Pants, that's where you're wrong, because Hunter has been trying to play this Lost Zone Psychic deck on stream for at least 6 months, and every single time, I don't think I've seen this Lost Zone Psychic deck work on stream 1 time. I've probably had to commentate over this mess, I don't know, at least a half a dozen times. So I'm going to keep giving Hunter a hard time. Okay, I'm going to keep giving him a hard time. 1, because I know he can take it. And 2, because the track record is crazy, bro. the track record is horrendous. He knows better. He knows better. I know he knows better. No, he's not just some random guy showing up to League with a cool Lost Zone deck. Like, no, he's been trying to make this a thing for so long now. It's about accountability, okay? That's what it's about. Friends don't let friends play bad decks. It's about accountability, chat. It's about accountability. Congrats to Cam on the round 1 win. It's about accountability. I've been saying that Lost Zone Psychic stinks for so long. I wish someone would come on stream and prove me wrong. I wish. I wish. But ultimately, when people come on stream and the decks don't work, it makes for bad content. So I'm gonna flame them. That's all I can do. I can't just sit here and be like, well, nothing we could have done about that, because there is something we could have done about that. There is something we could have done about that. A lot could have been done about that. There was decision trees that led to this moment on stream that didn't need to happen, right? Now, if Hunter had like popped off and won like an incredible game or 2 on stream with the Lost Zone Psychic deck somewhere along the line, then I'd have to like chill out a little bit. But that has not happened. Every single time Hunter plays the Lost Zone Psychic deck on stream, it's an absolute travesty. Every single time. It's like uncanny at this point how many bad games we've watched. And then Hunter will always come up to me like afterwards and will be like, dude, I went 4-1. That first game was an anomaly. It's like, yeah, the deck's actually broken. Just, it's only broken when no one's watching. That's like that's how I feel about the Lost Zone Psychic deck. It's like, yeah, dude, it's just broken. It's only broken when no one's watching though, bro. But like, yeah, it's just the deck is just a little stream shy is all. Yeah. It's broken. Otherwise it's broken for sure. The thing about the Lost Zone Psychic deck is I do feel like that we're kind of living in a big basic world in Gym Leader Challenge right now. So like, I feel like the deck is much stronger when you have like tiny little evolutions that you're trying to pick off on the bench. Also, when you can like get to, 10 cards in the Lost Zone before turn like, 10 or whatever. But anyways, moving on. MorseMakes.com. Big shout out to Ben Morse, our bookkeeper for the Gym Leader Challenge League here at Full Grip Games. We are on week 11 right now. And as we can see, I mean, really cool that we only have one repeat winner so far, which is Alex Carpenter, right? With lightning and grass. Actually, big ups to Alex Carpenter for getting the lightning win before fighting went and got all broken. So yeah, that's certainly a good one. I mean, Alex's wins are like pretty nice. Having grass and lightning under your belt already is very cool. Craig obviously having like the rogue metal win is like a huge flex and obviously looks very good on the badge card. Anthony got that win with water. It was such a cool list that Anthony played the other week. I actually didn't get to take a super close look at it. Yeah, it's just like a Frostmoth Wailord list, right? So like you're really just your plan A is just try and get a fast Wailord, but then there are no other energy hungry attackers. Everybody else is like a low energy attacker. You've got the Tortuga with the Ancient Seaweed. You've got the Palafin. It does 130 for 1. You've got Basculegion, Revenges. You've got Intellion, right? So very cool list that we got to see Anthony win with the other week. That was fun. Couple of dragon lists. Handful of colorless lists, but not all the same, right? 3 different colorless lists have won so far. Dylan, of course, won with the Ursaluna Control deck. And then Hunter won with his Porygon Z colorless deck. Dang, look how swagged out this thing is, dude. I mean, that's a beautiful looking deck right there. The reverse hall. I gotta give it to Hunter, his decks look gorgeous. They do. They do look gorgeous. Do I think fighting is a top 3 deck with this set? I do. I think it's Fighting, Psychic, Water are the top 3 decks in Gym Leader Challenge. If you asked me my top 3, I would say in no specific order are Fighting, Psychic, and Water. Which is fun because Psychic is like a stage 1 deck, Fighting is like a big basic beatdown deck, and Water is like your setup stage 2 deck, right? So you got like 3 different kinds of decks. Like Water decks have 2 different stage 2s in them. Basic decks are like, Fighting's like more like a basic deck. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see if Fighting can actually contend with decks that are teching for it. So like I would say at the low end, Fighting is a top 5 deck. Yeah. Because like say all Hydro Pump lists start playing Manaphy, right? Say all Psychic lists start playing Mr. Mime, right? Like I think like a big part of the reason why that specific Ting-Lu Psychic or the Ting-Lu Fighting deck was able to win the 3K is because I felt like it was kind of an unknown quantity. The Ting-Lu certainly, I think the Ting-Lu punched above its weight class as far as like how good the card is, right? So yeah. They need to play Melodic and drop backs? Nah, you're crazy for that. Nah, the Melodic, it's not that good, bro. It's not that good. Nah. Backs is still good. I think Trevor has the best water list in the game, for sure. Trevor has the best water list in the game. And Trevor is like, and he's shown it. Back-to-back performances at back-to-back 3Ks with his Hydro Pump lists. So, yeah, but like basically you Yeah, I think like the Marshadow and the Ting Lu were kind of like unknown quantities going into this past 3K. And now, yeah, no, I think Milo Pump is super fake. That deck is not nearly as good or consistent as like your more, having two different. If you're a Hydro Pump deck, having two different energy accelerators is just more consistent for sure. Just having two. You'll just have to show me. All right. Go. I would love you to. I can't go off of Spence. All right, bro. All right. I'm just saying. You just look at it. It's a matter of like what? So like, are you gonna pinhole the entire deck strategy, or like, oh well, if I prize my Moth, I'm just gonna go Drizzile for it? Well, like the thing about it is that you have to have at a certain point when you're playing evolution based decks, you have to have multiple ways to accomplish the same thing. And Baxcalibur also makes it so that you can use Kyogre better than any other deck. Like Frostmoth and Kyogre are actually kind of terrible together because Frostmoth only accelerates to the bench. Kyogre sends the energy back. It's not great. I'm not a believer, dude. I'm not a believer. I think the Milo Pump is super fake. As proven by the fact that nobody has ever accomplished anything with Milo Pump at the major cash events, but the Hydro Pump decks, dude, Chucky won one. Trevor has the goated list. I think Trevor's list is like near perfect for Hydro Pump. It's like near perfect for sure. Yeah, I'm super high on Trevor's Hydro Pump list. I think it's like insane. I think the three different items that search out the energy, like the Capacious Bucket, the Professor's Letter, and the Earthen Vessel, I think they make it like next level for sure. Yeah. All right, guys, we'll be right back after this quick break. I got to go run a walkie-talkie down to the stage. So, we'll be right back after this quick break. Thank you so much for being here. Hang tight. This tournament is sponsored by Dragon Shield. Dragon Shield makes the highest quality sleeves and accessories for your favorite tabletop games, like the Pokémon TCG. Dragon Shield sleeves are super durable, making them perfect for tournament play and collecting. They also come in a huge variety of colors, so there's always a great choice to match your deck. You can even turn your favorite photograph or design into a custom box of Dragon Shield sleeves using the Sleeve Crafter on DragonShield.com. Head over to DragonShield.com and place an order for your favorite sleeves today. Use code TrickyJim at checkout for 5% off your order. Again, that's DragonShield.com for the highest quality sleeves and accessories for your favorite tabletop games. Huge thank you to Dragon Shield for being a continued sponsor of the channel. All right, I'm out of breath. Just sprinted downstairs. But here we go. Round number 2. Dropped off the walkie-talkie down there. Got an exciting round 2 for you here, folks. John Patterson on the left. Man, God, I am so out of shape. Ugh. Anyways, I'm going to shush for a second while I work on the overlay. John Patterson on the left. And we've got Vince on the right. Water versus fighting. Let's go, baby. Now, John just recently won his psychic badge with his psychic deck, I think just last week, I believe. And John has got a very strong start here in the second round with a Cryogonal active. And the Cryogonal does 10 damage, inflicts item lock for just 1 water energy. We got to see how powerful that combo can be. And the GLC 3K, Jesse Parker getting second place with a psychic deck featuring the Frillish. And Cryogonal kind of offering a similar thing with a 10 damage item locking attack for just 1 water energy. Vincent has got Brooklet Hill, can use that to search out Terrakion. And then we've also got Battle VIP Pass. And getting the 2 rocks off of Battle VIP Pass, just incredible. I mean, we got to see how much the rocks were a boost to the fighting archetype this past weekend. I mean, just insane getting that Lunar Cycle. And a turn 1. I mean, my goodness, Vincent. My goodness. Look at that. Turn 1, Brooklet. Battle VIP. Lily's Determination. Now, John is going first, so was not able to inflict that item lock yet. And we see Vince just taking advantage of that. With the Battle VIP usage, Lily up to 8. About as good as it gets. Even's got the Float Stone for Ting Lu. Ting Lu's kind of a big dog, but does have like a good attack as well. Good first attack. I think it's first attack puts energy into play from the discard pile. So if you have a situation where you maybe get some energy in the discard pile via... Oh, no, I was going to say maybe you discard fighting energy with Lunar Cycle, but no, we just got the turn 1 attack with Cosmic Beam. You know, that's pretty good too. Why accelerate energy into play when we could just smack? And now, you know, John's Cryogonal, which I'm sure he was hoping that he could, like, get some mileage out of. is now looking like it is under fire. It's got 70 damage on it. Soul Rock in the active, just like that. Smacking. Going to be really difficult for John to utilize this Cryogonal effectively. I mean, really, it's just offering one turn of item lock here before it goes down. Now, John does have Drizzile, Shady Dealings, and can search the deck for a trainer card. Put into his hand. Could use this to continue setting up. Also has access to Brooklet Hill again, so can use Brooklet Hill. Search for a basic. Drizzile could get more basics into play. If it's like a Buddy Buddy Poffin angle. Now, I assume that John is probably playing a version of his Palatoad deck. John does love this Palatoad deck. It plays Palafin and, you guessed it, Seismitoad. Now, Seismitoad is a very tough Pokemon for fighting decks to deal with because of its Quaking Zone ability. Makes it so that Pokemon's attacks cost a colorless more, and its Echoed Voice attack can do 220 damage if you used Echoed Voice the previous turn. So it does 120 and then goes all the way up to 220. I see a question over on Twitch. Is Darkness... Is there any hope for Darkness, or is it just bad? Well, it's interesting, because I think, like, this time last year, I would have told you that Darkness was, like, one of the best decks in the format. But, honestly, if you look at the Dark pool of cards, like, Darkness hasn't gotten any new buffs, really. Aside for the Zoroark, which is kind of just, like, a combination of the other Zoroarks, right? Like, but, like... Darkness hasn't really gotten anything crazy since, like, Liepard. Liepard was really the last buff that Darkness got. Now, Phantasmal Flames is on the way, and it looks like Darkness is getting some new buffs, so that's cool. The Marshadow that becomes invincible is, like, quite an issue for fighting weak decks, but thankfully a lot of these new Darkness Pokemon are weak to grass and not not fighting, so that does bode well for Darkness generally. But another kind of issue that the Darkness decks were having is that they're just kind of squishy in general. And, you know, typically Dark's angle has kind of been like the stage 1 rush type thing with like the Guzzlord angle as well. I think the Toxtricity is really going to help Darkness accelerate extra energy into play. So that's like really good. But also I think something worth exploring. I mean, what if you play Obstagoon, you know? What about Obstagoon? What about the Obstruct Obstagoon? Grimsley support. Oh, yeah, the Grimsley supporter. Like, honestly, if Darkness can figure out a way to get that Tyranitar that item locks online, then you just, like, win, probably. So, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. That Tyranitar is insane. The Tyranitar from Journey Together. So, like, yeah, if you can get that thing into play consistently, I'm not sure that the Grimsley will let you do that, but, like, you probably got to try. So yeah, I don't think that there's no hope for Darkness. I think there definitely is hope. But I'm interested in Obstagoon. Obstagoon. Yeah, dude. The Obstruct one, 160 hit points. During your opponent's next turn, prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by attacks from basic Pokemon. Because we live in a basic world now, right? So, like, if all the best decks are just rehashing big basics, then just play Galarian Obstagoon and make it so that nobody can handle it. So I don't know. I think that there are ideas. I think the Darkness deck is going to generally change quite a bit. Isn't there an ice cue? Yeah, there's like an ice cue, right? That also can't be damaged by basics. Is there? Yes, block face. Dude, the block face ice cube, 70 damage at a time. There you go. Hole and Dan Sock over on YouTube says, what's the new basic dark that discards an EX? I don't really know what it is that you're asking a question about. But if you could clarify, I would be happy to answer your question. Thank you for the $2 dono. Appreciate that. I know. John is finally setting up better now. He's got Inteleon. And now is actually going to use the new Surfing Beach Stadium to pivot into the active spot. That's pretty cool. Conserve that energy there and attack with Inteleon. Yeah, Surfing Beach, new stadium card. Once during each player's turn, you can switch your active water Pokemon with a bench water Pokemon. Yes, Mega Absol discards a card from the opponent's hand. Yes, but this is Gym Leader Challenge. No rule box cards are allowed in Gym Leader Challenge format. It's kind of like Pauper format in Magic the Gathering. None of like the secret rare cards are legal. All right, looks like Vince got energy to Terrakion now, but Terrakion notably does not get the KO on this Inteleon. Terrakion only revenges for 130 damage. Inteleon's got 160 hit points. If I had it my way, basic Pokemon would never be knocking out Stage 2 Pokemon, right? Like in one hit. Like this is kind of, in my perfect world, this is how like all interactions in Gym Leader Challenge should be. Like basic Pokemon can knock each other out, sure, but Stage 2 Pokemon should not be getting easily one-hit KO'd by basic Pokemon, in my opinion. That to me is like a game design flaw. So I would be very happy if Stage 2 Pokemon started to creep up into like the 200 hit point range. Like at least 180 to 200. It looks like Vincent played Cynthia and Caitlin, got Lily back. We got Fighting Gong. Well, I know. It seems like when we started Gym Leader Challenge format years ago, the kind of magic number for basic Pokemon to hit was 130. I mean, you guys remember, dude, there was not these basic Pokemon that are like regularly hitting for 160 damage was not commonplace. Really, Necrozma in Psychic was one of the only ones doing it. And you had to have a special energy attached. But like outside of that, basic Pokemon that hit 160 damage, that was like not a very normal thing. Basic Pokemon were really trying to hit like 130 damage was like the magic number to hit. But now there are a lot of basic Pokemon that clear 160 damage, which has kind of been, I mean, that has been a development happening over the course of the last couple of years. You've got, obviously, Lost Origin Snorlax kind of starts it all, right? With its thumping snore attack, does 180 damage for 3. You've got a bunch of conditional Pokemon like Mewtwo and the Gouging Fire that do more damage if the opponent has like 3 or less or 4 or less prizes. Gouging Fire does 170 if they have 4 or less. Mewtwo does 180 if they have 3 or less. Okidogi does 170 for 2. You've got Iron Boulder does 170 for 2, right? There's just a lot of these. You've got Zamazenta in Metal, Revenges for 220. You've got Hop Snorlax, can do like 200 for, for 3 if you've got all the buffs. I mean, you've got Hop's Cramorant, can do 150 for free if you've got the tool attached to it. The last couple years have certainly been the rise of your big basic Pokemon, right? And then you look at an archetype like Dark, and Darkness has not gotten like a gigantic bloated basic Pokemon, right? It doesn't really have that. Like Guzzlord, kind of was like its Eolden, like big basic Darkness Pokemon, but at this point, like Guzzlord, it's a little difficult to power up. Galarian Moltres is kind of like Dark's really good basic Pokemon. I mean, but it's only really good at the end of the game. Kind of like it's like a back half of the game kind of guy. Galarian Moltres in the Darkness pool is like one of the most amazing cards in GLC. I mean, it can literally do 270 damage at the end of the game. And it powers itself up. It's about as good as they come. All right, John has got Seismitoad in play, everybody. He's got Seismitoad in play. What I'm saying is, though, that like Darkness has all the keys, has all the pieces it needs to be a top-tier deck. It's just like not in a good place currently. And if you look at the way that like Darkness has not received any buffs lately, right? Has only kind of gotten debuffed. Its time will come again. It's just not... it just hasn't really gained anything with the card designers lately. But it's got new cards on the way, and the Tyranitar, like if there's ever a way to get that Tyranitar into play, the new Grimsley supporter could be a way to do that. Then that Tyranitar is certainly pretty insane. All right, so John's got Inteleon, got Seismitoad in play now. The Seismitoad, I have to think that this Seismitoad is going to be very tough for Vince to deal with. Look at like Water. Like Water's gotten a number of things in the last like handful of years that continues to just make it like a really solid archetype. Inteleon's kind of like the backbone of almost every Water deck. It's just that good. Got Octillery, which is kind of like a classic draw card, which just also makes it very good. So you have that 1-2 punch of Inteleon and Octillery, which kind of just make Water one of the most consistent setup decks available. And then there's just a bunch of really good Water Pokemon. There's like a lot of really, really, really good consistency Pokemon and like attacking options. Like this deck that John is playing doesn't even play Wailord. It's just playing Seismitoad and other efficient attackers, which is really cool. But like obviously you've got the whole Wailord angle too, which can be the Wailord is kind of like another way to play the Water deck. There's a lot of different ways to play Water successfully right now. Oh, Vince does not have energy flowing. It's kind of major issue with Vince's board state. I mean, just no energy online right now. Would have loved to have had, an energy attached to an Ogie Dogie like turns ago. John does play this pod helmet. Usually putting the pod helmet on the Seismitoad just makes it very difficult to knock the Toad out. When you give the Toad 200 HP, right? The 200, the difference between 170 and 200 is like everything. There's a lot of basic Pokemon that can hit in like the 160, 170 range, but like there's very few Pokemon that are hitting that 200 HP range. And we see Vince having to use Raihan this turn to power up that Terrakion, get it going again. And that's all well and good. The Terrakion is going to finish off this Inteleon. We do see John has got Frostlass kind of on the bench, ready to go. And Frostlass with its Spiteful Psy attack can do 140, which will clear the Terrakion. And knock it out. And then the Frostlass, of course, will leave itself with just 10 hit points remaining. But Vince having to use the Raihan to get this attack, it's not great. Hisuian Heavy Ball being the target off Raihan, yep, and the Ogie Dogie was prized, of course. So had to go search that out for sure. The Ogie Dogie is a key part of this fighting deck. But again, having to use the Raihan to go fetch the Ogie Dogie and having to use that Raihan now in order to get that extra energy, it's like, doesn't feel great, right? Because we know John already has return one-hit KO on this Terrakion on board with the Frostlass. So we see the Frostlass get the promote. And Vince ties it up at 4-4 prizes. But Frostlass, right? Like all you have to do is John is kind of like drop this energy on Seismitoad. Say over the course of the next 2 turns, I'll have a fully powered up Seismitoad. Spiteful Psy will take care of the Terrakion, set Vince back down to 0 energy on board. And then Vince going to have a tough time streaming energy after this. John's got Marnie. We can also see John is playing Mallow and Lana in his deck as well. And that's just another key card that makes dealing with the Seismitoad very difficult. If the Seismitoad takes a non-one-hit KO hit, Mallow and Lana can just heal it, switch it to the bench. We see John still hasn't used his Aqua Patch yet. It's got that in hand now. Could let that fly to get the Seismitoad fully powered up. And really, are you worried about the Seismitoad somehow getting damaged on the bench? Absolutely not. So I agree with John just letting this Aqua Patch fly. And I have to think at this point, the Seismitoad is kind of so foreboding for Vince to deal with. I fully expect this Seismitoad to just kind of sweep. And it looks like John is like considering attacking with it now. I very much disagree with that. John should just take this knockout with the Frostlass. Yeah. Like don't, because Vince will have a very difficult time getting a decent attacker going. And then you can start swinging with the Seismitoad next turn. I have to imagine that Vince is probably playing Garganacl. I don't think that you would be playing this Tinglu with the 3 energy attack cost unless you were also playing Garganacl. Oh, Vince attaches to the Ogie Dogie, kind of recognizing that, you know, the Ogie Dogie has to get powered up. But like I said, just an energy attachment behind now. And here is the Knackley. And if Vince can get that Garganackle online, his board's going to be much stronger, much more intimidating, and also much more capable of handling what John is doing. John is sitting pretty with Boss's orders in hand. We can see that. Vincent just has to pass. I think that this was, you know, you could have maybe had a turn where you attacked with the Ting Lu here. Ting Lu can place a couple energy onto a bench Pokemon, so this is potentially a missed opportunity. Right? Because Ting Lu has got the Sandbringer attack, which allows you to attach 2 basic fighting energy from your discard pile to one of your Pokemon. So you could have used Sandbringer to get 2 basic... I don't know how many basic energy there are in Vince's discard pile. But that could have been a nice play there. Switch rafts. It's going to heal that Frostlass a little bit. And then John does have Boss's orders, like I said, and Guzma, actually. So Quick Ball, going to discard Scoop Up Nets. Can go get another basic Pokemon. Maybe, yeah, Finizen out of the deck so that John can be threatening Palafin. And the Finizen makes its way onto the bench. And I do expect John to use Boss's orders probably to target down the Knackley, would be my thoughts. Because if anything is threatening... this is interesting. Switching into the Basculegion. Ogie Dogie has base 130 hit points. Okay, I actually don't like this play from John. I feel like I think I get it. Yeah, so John ended up using the Frostlass Spiteful Side to just do 140 to the Ogie Dogie, knocking himself out. I feel like John could have probably just gone Boss on the Knackley. Yeah, I guess you're kind of worried that, like, you know, if Vincent just had Versus Seeker in hand, right, then the Toad gets one shot and then you've got like a problem on your hands. Not that much of a problem, though. You've got the Hisuian Basculegion in the, you know, on the bench, which can confuse and do 120. So I guess this is all right. I think this play is fine. And I do think that John is still in a very favorable position to win. Yeah, and I guess if your thought is to just protect the Seismitoad at all costs, then this play does help to do that. And if you, the more I look at this play, the more I kind of see I see the thought process behind it, and I think it does make sense. Because if you leave the 1 energy If you leave the 1 energy Okie Dokie there, then all it takes is a Raihan, and it can get going again. And really, it would have just been Versus. Like, all Vince would have needed was a Versus Seeker to return that KO and get a huge Okie Dokie going. So I think that John did kind of correctly identify maybe the correct Pokemon to knock out, being the Dogie with the single energy on it. Forfeiting a prize to do that is obviously a little bit tough, but then, you know, Vince would have needed a very crazy response in order to take. I don't even think it's possible, really, for Vincent to be able to respond. So I guess with the way that John played it, like, yeah, it actually, John made it so that Vince had no way to deal with that Seismitoad there. You know, very well navigated by John, and we just saw the energy really wasn't flowing on Vince's side of the board. Really was never able to power up Okie Dokie. And John was able to lock this game down very convincingly with the Seismitoad. And we know that this is like one of John's favorite decks. He's been playing this Palatoad deck for the longest. I think between this water deck and John's psychic deck, those are like his two favorite decks. And he just earned a badge, I think last week when we weren't streaming. I think John won his psychic badge. We can check Morse Mix. And see. Let's go. Yeah, John's, I think this is, oh, it didn't post it. Ah, yes. Gallade, Xatu, Malamar. Yeah, that is the week 10. Badges week by week. This is such a cool part of the website. Dang, that's sick. You could just see which deck won each week. That's crazy. Yo, we got Trevor in the chat. I was just saying, Trevor, I think you perfected water. I think you perfected Hydro Pump. I still really love your list. I think, like, honestly, just slap a Manaphy in there. Good to go. And it's just like the power level of that deck is just crazy. But yeah, really just, I think Manaphy is probably the only ad. You could play, I'm not a fan of the Hydro Pump decks that only play Frostmoth. Like, I don't know. Tony did win with a water list kind of like that the other week at League, where it just played Frostmoth. The only issue with Manaphy is bench space. Yeah, I could see that. Like, I understand why Manaphy's not in there. I get it 100%. But then also, you kind of have to have, like, Nightmares of the 4-prize turn, right? So, like, I don't know. Maybe it's a Rough Seas angle then. You could, I mean, a Rough Seas probably does as much damage, right? But the muscle band was cool, huh? Was the muscle band something that you used primarily for the wishy-washy? Yeah, I feel like when playing Trevor's Hydro Pump list, it's like you kind of have to play all of your resources just perfectly. Like, there's just enough resources in the deck to win every game. But like you can't be wasting stuff though, because you'll burn yourself out. Like the deck will, it's easy to run out of resources in the Hydro Pump deck because there's only enough resources to win and no more, right? Which is exactly like that. That's the level of perfection that you seek with like any Pokemon TCG deck, is you want to have just the right amount of resources to win most of your games. Yeah. Muscle Band on Intellion, that makes a lot of sense. Obviously, you got Shady Dealings, can just go search it out every turn, which is really cool. Like, yeah, Shady Dealings can just go get it on the turn that you want it when you're attacking with it. Nice low effort attacker that you're probably going to have on board anyway, right? Like you're always going to have that guy on. Like Intellion, if it's in the deck, Intellion's always going to be there. So you might as well turn it into an attacker. So then the Muscle Band, the difference between 120 and 140 is like crazy in the format right now. As the basics just keep getting bigger and bigger, 140 kind of feels like it's like a new benchmark to hit, right? Especially with Iron Boulder there, sitting at 140. But yeah, I have been impressed by how fast the Tortuga's damage ramps. That thing does hit for some very big numbers. I was impressed with that. And let's see, Trevor, for the stadiums, was it just Brooklet Hill? Just Brooklet Hill, right? Yeah, just Brooklet Hill. It's a tight deck, dude. Brooklet Hill and Field Blower. Yo, thank you, CMT, for that sub in the 31 months. Yeah, I agree with that, Trevor. Yeah, Nessa is like a huge resource in the deck. And you pretty much always have to save the Verse Seeker for Nessa. Like, that's like for sure, right? You're just going to need that much energy because there's only 8 basic water in the deck. But then, you need to be able to recur those. Yeah. You have just the right amount of resources to do so. It's really a cool list. I mean, it's very fun to play because it's kind of difficult to play because of how tight all the resources is. It was very satisfying. Yeah, no boss. I mean, that's like a very is there no Guzma? No, there's Guzma. Yeah, no boss. Boss has been at a Hydro Pump list for a long time, I feel like, because of the Kyogre, for sure. And this is crazy. Where's the best place to find the results to our tournament? Did Full Grip like repost them? I have all the deck lists right here, but I'm wondering what the best way to pull them up for you guys to see. I certainly should have posted them or something. Oh, here we go. Bang. There's the list. Yeah, I do. I really like this Hydro Pump list a lot. The Lapras, it's very good. Kyogre, it really just feels like you kind of have just like exactly everything that you need and nothing that you don't. Yeah, I mean, it's so tight though, right? As far as like adds and subtracts. All the fat is trimmed. There's like nothing else. It's like there's so little. Like this, like the Field Blower slot either has to be Field Blower or another stadium. right? Because you like need parallel bumps. And I feel like Field Blower probably just is the better card overall because it also is flexible enough that you can use it to remove tools, which is good. Yeah, the tools I think are too good. So you kind of just have to play Field Blower. Town Map is probably just too good. You've got like your... I mean, Lily's Determination is so huge for the deck. But all right, Trevor, sell me on Arven. Arven's the only card I look at in this deck, and I'm like, really? I mean, it just gets an item. I mean, there was a point where I was playing Skyla, so like I kind of get it. Like Arven, it just gets an item and a tool sometimes. So like, sure, why not, right? Like sometimes you're probably just going to be able to use Arven to get the rare candy, and there's a Baxcalibur. Like it's that kind of card. It's almost like an Irida light, you know. Like Irida is so good because it just gets the item. Like Arven in a similar way, you're drawing with Octillery. Arven can also kind of just like get that item that you need, whether it's like a bucket or yeah, I kind of see where it's like the bucket or the rare candy or whatever. Just another card that kind of like tutors out exactly what you want. Yeah, what about... I've been thinking about cutting research for like Cynthia because your recovery is so tight. That's another thought that I had. Is like, is research kind of like, now that you have Lily's Determination, is research kind of like unnecessary? Yeah, Arven's kind of like a combo completer. Yeah, I get that for sure. You know, at this point though, like the list is so like, I feel like it is so near perfect that it's just like you're kind of just you're critiquing like the very, very, you know, finest edges of it, like kind of and just like asking further questions, right? And Scoop Up Net is obviously like your premier switch card, allows you to reuse Intellion. Lapras at first was a card that I was kind of like not as sold on, but the more I like, Lapras is kind of just your perfect basic Pokemon for this deck. 130 hit points, the confusion attack. I mean, there's so many games where like you just need an extra turn, and that one energy confusion kind of slows the game down to a point where you're fine. Also, for 2 energy, you're knocking out like all of the evolving basics that have 70 hit points, which is quite good. Yeah, Lapras can go toe to toe with Wob. Do I mean, there's just a lot of things that Lapras can do well. It's just like a low effort basic guy that's just kind of tough to deal with. You know, if your opponent has like one of those runaway attackers, then you can just like confuse it. I've always liked that about Lapras. But yeah, this list feels very good. I love it. All right, folks. Round number 3. Yeah, Arven and Lapras, the only things you would really consider swapping. I get it. I mean, for sure. Like looking at the list, those are kind of like only cards that are kind of looking like wiggle cards to me. You like Wishy-Washy more than Lapras? I mean, Wishy-Washy is just so fat, right? I mean, 180 hit points is just so insane. Yeah, the Wishy-Washy is crazy, that card. I know people love to hate Wishy-Washy because it runs away, but Wishy-Washy's kind of goated for that. Well, let's go. A Battle of the Kings. Benjamin Morse, Alex Carpenter, This is what you came here for. This is the premier match of the night. Both players 2-0. You've got Benjamin Morse of the Morse Makes fame. Also, your journey together, 1K Victor with the broken colorless deck versus Alex Carpenter, 2-time Full Grip Games League champion, 2025 Full Grip Games Gym Leader Challenge Invitational winner. That's right. I never actually produced that tournament. I'm just starting to say it now and just hoping that nobody asks any questions, okay? I don't have time to produce it. It's too much work, and it's old now. So, yes, that's right. Alex Carpenter, your 2025 Full Grip Games Gym Leader Challenge Invitational winner and 2-time league champ. On the left, in 2024, Alex Carpenter defeated Ben Morse in a conquest playoff for the title of league champ. Always fun to get to watch these two play. The only... What am I getting? Am I getting a... Cool. Looks like Natalie just took the walkie, so I'm wondering what she's trying to... If she's trying to reach me. Now, looks like Alex is playing Fighting, and Ben is on Psychic. This is also a rematch of the finals of our 3K. Chris Hill piloting his Fighting deck against Jesse Parker with Psychic. And here we go. Round number 3 is underway. Ben Morse playing first. Has got Mimikyu in the active spots and Nest Ball. Alex Carpenter opens the big bad Ogie Dogie. Ogie Dogie, though, is not so big and so bad against this Psychic deck because Ogie Dogie is weak to Psychic, even though its Adrena Power ability can make it have 100 additional hit points, so 230 hit points. Weak to Psychic, that's not so bad. All you have to do is 120 damage, and you knock it out. So real easy there for the Psychic deck to handle. Certainly one of the things that makes Psychic a very appealing type. Ogie Dogie is one of the strongest basic Pokemon in Gym Leader Challenge formats, not only because it can have 230 hit points, but also because its good punch attack can do 170 damage. Thanks to that Adrena Power ability. Ben does have some good basic search to start off this game. Nest Ball and Quick Ball. Those some pro plays there, folks. Using the Nest Ball first before using Hisuian Heavy Ball. Love to see some optimal sequencing. Ben identifying that there were no basic Pokemon in his prize cards that he wanted to search out with Hisuian Heavy Ball. With Nest Ball first, and then was able to use Quick Ball to discard Hisuian Heavy Ball and go get Psychic's big, mean, basic attacker, Iron Boulder. These two Pokemon might just be the defining features of Gym Leader Challenge right now. And it's no mystery why these two decks were able to meet in the finals of the Full Grip Games 3K. Because Iron Boulder is a massive 140 hit point basic Pokemon that could do 170 damage for 2 energy. And Ogie Dogie is a massive 130 hit point Pokemon that can have 100 more hit points and does 170 damage for 2 energy. So, a lot to love about these decks. And we can see a notable update from the Psychic deck that Ben played at the 3K. Ben was playing a list that I think was just 1 card off Jesse Parker's finalist list. That Mew from Unbroken Bonds making an appearance in the deck, and notably is going to be able to stop Ting Lu from spreading damage. That's something that we saw Chris Hill use to great effect during the 3K. Ting Lu. We also saw Marshadow get a lot of mileage as well. And just like that, looks like Alex is able to get both Lunatone and Solrock into play. So we'll probably see some lunar cycling to help draw cards, get established. And continue setting up. Alex is certainly looking to get an energy drop this turn. Ben had a very good turn going first. The one weak spot about Ben's setup is that he did not get an energy drop down. And we'll see where Alex decides to put his energy for turn. He's got Cynthia and Caitlin. Energy to the active Ogie Dogie and Hex. Just wants to slow Ben down, make it more difficult for Ben to launch a meaningful attack. Ben opting not to play Parallel City there. It is possible for Ben. No, it's not. I was going to say it's possible for Ben. Well, it is actually possible for Ben to get the knockout on this thing. If Ben got like Floatstone, Dimension Valley, and Professor's... No, it still is not possible. Not actually possible. I don't think that there are enough 2-for-1 cards in Ben's deck in order to match hand sizes after that Marnie, while also getting all the cards that he needs. So really, Ben would just like to get an energy attachment down. Hex Maniac makes it so Ben can't use any of his abilities. And I like an attack with Frillish this turn. I feel like that's pretty good. You can lock items, make it more difficult for Alex to stabilize. It's something that I think I would have liked to see Jesse do in the finals a little bit more, was use the Frillish effectively, especially in the early turns of the game. And we see that Ben did find Floatstone and Psychic, so Horror Psychic going on to the Frillish, and here's a Retreat. Frilly getting in there with an Oceanic Gloom for 40 damage. And weakness, Alex unable to play any items now during his turn. Does still have Artisan, though, so can use Artisan to search out a basic Pokemon. It's going to go get that Marshadow, which we saw get a ton of mileage in top 4 and the finals for Chris. This Marshadow, I think, is the card that surprised me the most. It obviously reads very good. Capable of being invincible if it takes a knockout for a turn. But what you don't realize about Marshadow is that when it's hitting it, like, there's certain matchups that it just makes it like almost impossible to lose. When you're playing against decks that are largely weak to fighting, right? Like if you're playing against Lightning or Colorless, Marshadow is just going to be able to shadowy sidekick for knockout almost every turn in the game, which is kind of crazy. Now this is a funny interaction. Alex Carpenter is able to use Artisan to go get Marshadow, then replace it with Brookla Hill to go get Riolu, and it does look like Alex is playing Chris Hill's version of fighting. Which I believe they are calling RDT. Rocks Dogi Ting Lu, I think is the name that they are giving it. And then with the boss's orders, Ogie Dogie is taking a big knockout on Iron Boulder. Good punch. Still a very good turn, considering that Alex was item locked. It's got the unit energy. Wow. And Ben just has to attach to Mimikyu and pass. Nothing else going on, but another item lock from Frillish. But Alex Carpenter has another boss, has Guzma in hand. So could use Guzma if he's got an energy or floatstone or something to pivot, but I don't think he has it. Now, if Ben has an additional energy in hand, could use Mimikyu to copycat. Copycat for 70 damage is kind of funny, but I think it'll actually take the knockout, right? 140 plus... No. 140 plus 80 is not going to get there. 10 short. It looks like Alex Carpenter going to use Cynthia and Caitlyn this turn. And Ben just unable to piece together a supporter card for his previous turns. Just got like a very lackluster hand right now. Just 3 cards. Oh, Horror Energy would proc, which would make Mimikyu enough for a knockout. It's true. It's true. And getting the Lysander back with the Cynthia and Caitlyn. So now Alex Carpenter sitting on a hand with Guzma and Lysander. And Ogie Dogie coming in for 170 more damage. Horror Energy procs and swings. And I think Ben has got a dead hand. Evolution Incense, but no energy. Oh, does he have an energy? Can't tell if that's an energy on the left side of his hand or not. I think it is, yes. So could just copycat and take the knockout. I think also has Tulip. Is that Tulip or Iono? Tough time seeing here. And we'll copycat. Good punch for 140. Take the knockouts. But at this point, Ben's board is looking horrendous. And Alex Carpenter, with access to his items now, should have no problem taking a return KO. Ben does have, I think, Evolution Incense in hand. Not quite sure why he decided not to thin the deck and go get Xatu. I know Alex does have... What's funny is that if Ben had evolved into Xatu, this Lucario can actually not be copycatted, right? Well, it can. It's just not going to be copycatted for a lot because Avenging Knuckle does 30 plus 120 more if one of your fighting Pokemon was knocked out. So, like, Ben doesn't have any fighting Pokemon in his deck, obviously. Therefore, Mimikyu's Copycat really not doing a lot to this Lucario. We're just seeing how much pressure this fighting deck can put on, how well it's drawing as well. Ben has not been able to find any of the hand disruption cards that he plays to, or any supporter really, for that matter. And it looks like Alex is going to use Soul Rock, chase down this Mimikyu, and similarly to Lucario, Soul Rock can also not be copied by this Mimikyu, because Mimikyu will copy Cosmic Beam, and Cosmic Beam requires that you have a Lunatone in play. And we see Ben just kind of floundering here. Nothing going on. You would think that Alex's board state is not that much to deal with. It's really just a Soul Rock with an energy, but Soul Rock with an energy is pumping out 70 damage a turn. Which is certainly quite annoying. And Ben's got Rescue Stretcher. And it looks like the rest of his hand is just completely dead. I cannot tell what the supporter is. I think there is a supporter. I cannot tell. And it's just going to be a Filch for 2. Pretty underwhelming game from Mr. Morse so far. I think he's got a Tulip in his hand and a Versus Seeker. So now he can Versus Seeker for Marnie. Soul Rock is going to get to go for another knockout, though. And I expect Alex will probably get an energy equipped to Marshadow, making it a potentially live play. And we can just see how insane the Soul Rock Lunatone combo is. I mean, just getting to draw 3 cards every turn. I mean, look at how many cards Alex is working with in this hand. It's just absolutely insane. Absolutely crazy. Now Guzma and Hala going to be the supporter for turn. Alex can go get Stadium, Special Energy, and a tool card. Looks like Strong Energy, Fury Belt. Maybe Strong Energy goes on to the Marshadow. And that Marshadow is starting to look really scary if you get a Strong Energy on it, right? Because then its attack is doing base 100 damage for 2 energy, which is kind of insane. And yeah, there is the Strong Energy. Training Court as well. I would expect Alex to pull back a basic Fighting Energy, and there it is. Soul Rock goes for another as Alex Carpenter looks to close this game up. We got Buddy Buddy Poffin from Ben. But at 5-2, is this too much of a deficit to overcome? Looks like Inke and Trubbish are getting caught out of the deck with Buddy Buddy Poffin. And Ben has got Evolution Incense, may finally use that for Xatu. And then maybe we see a Tulip to bring those basic energy back from the discard pile, draw more cards. And maybe Ben is hoping to Iono or end to 1 at the very end. And it's certainly not out of the realm of possibility for Ben to pull off a crazy upset here. Like, the cards exist in his deck to do so. You know, Ben does already have the air balloon in hand also, so it's all like it's possible. All right, here's Xatu, here's air balloon. Training Court, get the energy for free. Dimension Valley, that's a good card too, yeah. But who's the attacker, right? There's no attacker in play right now. And Verse Seeker for Marnie. And I think Ben is just like hoping to find something magical. Ben does not find anything magical. So it's going to have to be a retreat into Wobbuffet and a pass for sure. Because you don't want Alex drawing more cards. Or I guess can use a free Psy Pump with Mewtwo. I like this. But who are you charging the energy on to, right? Like, probably himself. I think you have to put them on himself. Yeah, right? I think Ben kind of had to use Tulip that last turn just to get the Boulder out of the discard pile. Like, if you're sweeping, I think it's kind of has to be a Boulder, right? So I think Ben was making kind of a risky play. Kind of, you know, wanting to... When you're having like a need to find it all type turn, Marnie isn't really the supporter that you want to be playing. When it's a have to have it all type turn, you know? I feel like maybe Ben had to actually go get like the premier attacker out of the deck. Like at this point, Alex doesn't have an attacker on board that could handle the Boulder. So I think that if Ben like went and got Boulder, maybe tried to chill for a turn, perhaps that would have given him the best odds as this game comes down to the line. And Alex does have Versus Seeker. Versus Seeker can go get Guzma. Oh, boy. We're going to see an invincible Marshadow for sure. Oh, baby. Just like that, folks. It's just that easy. And here's poor Trubbish getting annihilated with a shadowy sidekick, which makes the Marshadow invincible next turn. Just all bad here. As the fighting deck just persists. Marshadow, shadowy sidekick. Alex Carpenter, just a single prize card remaining. Field Blower can remove the Muscle Band. Luxurious Cape to Mewtwo. Dimension Valley still in play. Alex didn't play Silent Lab out of his hand. Obviously, he wants to have that draw power available. It looks like Judge has got to be the energy disruptor of choice. Ben desperately hoping to find some action off this Judge, but there's nothing in his deck that he can do to handle this Marshadow right now. Escape Rope would have probably been a good add to this deck to help handle it. Just being able to push around the Marshadow for a turn. Ben does find Counter Energy. At a certain point, it feels like you want to send up Wobbuffets. And then hopefully you have Iono. Like, that's kind of the deal, I think. I think you have to send up Wob. Hope no draw. You have to ability lock. There's not even any energy, so you're just sending up your biggest guy. I mean, I guess. All right, and what does Alex have? Pokegear. Boss's orders are Guzma wins game. Can he find it? I don't think he's got it there. Clara. I still think I would have liked to see, since Ben has to take 5 prizes, presumably with this Mewtwo, I think I would have still liked to see, I would have preferred to see Ben send the Wob up, I think. In order for Wobbuffet to get knocked out, it still would have had to been the Premium Power Pro in order to take that KO. Now, Alex has got another chance to find Guzma. No, because he played Clara. Never mind. Never mind. Sorry. Take it back. Take it back. And we can see how much bigger this hand is already. I mean, just off of the... It's insane. Just off of the... Lunatone draw. Lunar Cycle. All right, and Alex did not get an energy drop down. And here is the Iono to 1. All right, this is what Ben needed in order to have a shot. Iono to 1. But the Marshadow has a Focus Sash on it. Does have N again for next turn if Alex does manage to draw. And there we go. The Mewtwo will attack for 1-hit KO, but Marshadow hangs on. Fighting Energy. Does Alex find the game winners? And there it is. Lysander for game. And Alex Carpenter off of Iono to 1. Finds the Fighting Energy that he needs in order to seal the game. And Ben Morris is unable to get anything going in that game. I mean, really did not have a decent attacker powered up at any point. Alex Carpenter just showing off the dominant fighting deck that Chris Hill piloted to a victory at the Full Grip Games Mega Evolution 3K. Chris went undefeated at the Mega Evolution 3K to win it all, taking down a version of this Psychic deck in the finals, and we got to see that result repeated here in round 3 of Full Grip Games Gym Leader Challenge League Nights. Now, Ben did not have a very good showing with that Psychic deck. So maybe it's time for Psychic Gym Leaders to go back into the garage and not come out until they have an answer to fighting. Back to the garage, all right? Back to the garage. Gonna have to spend some more time tinkering. Because I do believe that purple has the card pool to beat that deck consistently. I believe it. I believe it in my soul, all right? I do. I know. There has to be, right? There has to be. There has to be. Purple has to have the combination of cards that can consistently beat that fighting deck 100%. Now, I don't believe that anybody has actually put in any work to try and get to that point yet, because the fighting deck really just kind of came out, and that deck had been apparently in the works for a long time, from what I was hearing from the Turbo Blaze guys. That a lot of work has been put into that. So I think if players want to find the best ways to counter it, they gotta get hustling. Got months of catch up to do. For real. But there's just so many strong components to the fighting deck. I mean, obviously the Soul Rock and the Lunatone are incredible. They're a basic... Gym Leader Challenge doesn't know a combo as powerful as Lunatone and Soul Rock. I mean, imagine just... months ago, people were saying that you need to ban Fan Rotom, right? And then now we have Soul Rock and Lunatone, which are like, I don't know, equally crazy, if not more crazy. And Pokemon has shown that they are very willing to just print these very powerful basic cards, right? So like, it kind of just is what it is. There's no counteracting that. You can't just like ban them all, right? Because it seems like every other set, there's like some crazy basics coming out. But yes, Soul Rock and Lunatone are amazing. And have transformed the fighting archetype. I mean, combined with Ogie Dogie too, right? And now you've got the Marshadow. It's like really, I would say those 4 cards, the Ogie Dogie, combined with the draw support and early aggression from Soul Rock and Lunatone, combined with the disruptive nature of Marshadow, right? And Marshadow's ability to just be invincible on some turns is really pretty insane. It is a force to be reckoned with, for sure. So I'm excited to see players really start to think about how they can contend with these powerful fighting strategies. for sure. Rip Rocket's Tyranitar. Yo, but Rocket's Tyranitar low-key goated, though. What if Rocket's Tyranitar is good against the fighting deck because it's all basics? Dude, I'm not giving up yet, all right? Rocket's Tyranitar. Maybe there's still room out there. Haven't built Rocket's Tyranitar with Lunatone and Soul Rock. Maybe there's something there, dude. Pings through the Focus Sash. Melts the Lunatone and Soul Rock. Naturally more than 170 hit points. All right. There's a lot to love there. A lot to love. You know what I'm thinking? The Lunatone Soul Rock, that deck probably gets smacked by Hitmoncombo. You can counter the fighting with one of the attackers with an anti-basic attack like Obstagoon. Yeah, they play Lucario. But that's what I'm saying. This fighting deck is so kind of new that I'm excited to see players get in the lab and try to figure out how to handle it. Because it's very powerful. We've never really seen a 1-2 punch like Soul Rock Lunatone. Every other deck that wants to have like draw power usually needs to set up a Pokemon. I mean, really, colorless with like the Squovit Oranguru engine, that was like huge a year ago, right? But now we look at like Soul Rock Lunatone is like eons better than Oranguru Squovit, because Oranguru Squovit you have to like reset to a 3-card hand every turn, whereas like Soul Rock Lunatone you are just expanding. We saw there, if the hand size goes unchecked for like a single turn, the Lunatone Soul Rock deck is just going to have a hand this big, right? They're just operating with like the world's biggest hand. So, cards that check hand size seem like they're important. Cards that shut down basic abilities, Silent Lab, stuff like that can be powerful. Lost zoning one of the rocks seems pretty good, right? Sending one of them dudes to the lost zone. The spread, I mean, honestly, like, Hitmoncombo does seem like pretty good against this deck. But then they can go spread against your spread. What if they spread again? What if they go Ting Lu against your Hitmoncombo? Who comes out on top? Something to think about, right? But then Rocket's Tyranitar. A lot to think about. But I do believe that, like, Psychic, so many of the Psychic cards resist fighting. And you hit their main attacker for weakness. Like, there should be a combination of cards there, right? If you're playing Hitmons, you aren't beating anything else. Well, what if your fighting deck is so broken, Chris, that there is nothing else? What if it's meta centralizing? What if there's only one mission? There you go. But honestly, it's one of the exciting things about Gym Leader Challenge that the format does kind of just move slower, because there's not like online client grinding, right? Like, lists and decks don't get like figured out in weeks, and like, you know, Whereas like sometimes it feels like in standard format, like things get kind of like min-maxed very quickly. It happens much less quickly in Gym Leader Challenge because there is no like very convenient online clients to grind out thousands of games on. And honestly, I feel like it makes it a lot more fun when that's the case, because things don't get solved as fast, right? I don't know. It makes it feel like old school in a way. Maybe I'm just nostalgic, but like to me, I know people disagree with this a lot, and like I get it, but to me, like trading card games are more fun when there is labor in the testing, right? So like having a digital client for a game makes it so that you can like get so many more repetitions with the deck and with the format, so that it's easier to solve the format. It makes solving the format much easier. It kind of like is the end game of all trading card games, is that somebody inevitably creates a digital client so that they can be at the top of the game, so they can get more reps than everybody else, right? So like I don't think it's possible to have this idealist version of a trading card game in my head where no digital client exists and everybody has to play paper games, and then the format gets solved slower, and that you have tournaments that exist where like big revelations are happening like kind of in real time at tournaments, right? It's kind of like how things used to be in the Pokemon TCG. It does feel like there's a little bit less wonder and whimsy in tournament settings right now for the game, because the game's too big. But that's like always that's the inevitability of every trading card game, every competitive game that exists. That's the inevitability of it, right? When you have like the potential for hundreds of thousands of dollars to be won in these competitions, like somebody is going to min-max it. Somebody is going to create a digital version so that you can get more reps, right? But that's kind of the fun thing about Gym Leader Challenges, is that there's not hundreds of thousands of dollars of prize money, up for grabs every year. It's a community run custom format. So like so it benefits from that vibe a little bit more. Like Pokemon's got to print the Spider-Man set, huh? Dude, not the Spider-Man set, dude. I am curious. What do you guys think? All right. Oh, looks like we are in our next round. Holy smokes. Here I was yapping. And round number 4 is underway. Yo, Dylan's got the Rocket Tyranitar. Let's freaking go. Love Rocket Tyranitar. These players are 2-1, vying for spots in top 4. I guess if the undefeated ends up losing, then maybe we could have an X1 winner. And we got Dylan Ryan versus Nate Brown. Well, let's go. Looks like Nate is playing a colorless deck They've got Squovit, Chinchino, Doduo in the active spots. I know Nate is, I think, friends with Cam, and they have, they're both players who got into Gym Leader Challenge through playing Magic the Gathering at our store. I mean, they're Magic the Gathering regulars who've been getting into Gym Leader Challenge lately. We've seen Cam on stream a number of times, but I think this is my first time commentating over Nate, so excited to see them playing. A colorless brew. Now, Dylan, man after my own heart, playing, I believe, the Hitmon combo. Is this Hitmon combo? Yes. Hitmon combo with Rockets Tyranitar. Freaking love this deck. Love this deck. God, it's so sick. Yes. And here is Tyrogue. Here is Hitmonchan. The gang's all here, folks. A little hit and run for 30. Got Rocket's Larvitar in the active spot. Hitmonlee right there. Looks like U-turn board. Gonna retreat into Tyrogue, and I think Dylan's hand is pretty dead. They've got Rosa, so I mean, like, if Nate takes a knockout, Dylan can start going. They do have... Oh, and Tails on the Tyrogue. Unfortunately, Bradikick, a failure. Nate now does have some pretty good cards in their hand. Dodrio and Evo Soda are going to help to get these consistency Pokemon online. Zooming Draw places a damage counter. Fighting Fury Belt onto Fan Rotom. And Nate eyeing up an ends. Both players going to shuffle their hands into their deck. Draw 6 cards. And Dylan will have a fresh new hand to work with. This should be an interesting matchup. You always assume that maybe the fighting deck is favored here, which is something that's just been crazy to witness, right? Like, there was a point in Gym Leader Challenge's history where fighting was considered one of the worst types in Gym Leader Challenge format, and the glow up has been nothing short of sensational. It's crazy how much impact just a few key cards can have on an entire archetype with the power level of the cards that the Pokemon Company is printing now with Pokemon like Okidogi. Okidogi kind of laid the groundwork for fighting to be a really exceptional type, and then with Lunatone and Solrock, the sky is now the limit, since fighting now has its own draw support. It's got one of the best early aggressors in the format as well. So just so much potential from fighting as an archetype. We see Dylan is playing the Hitmon combo, so the Hitmon combo refers to the 1-2-3 punch of Hitmonchan, Hitmonlee, and Hitmontop, the Hitmons. You've got Hitmonchan, uses hit and run, 30 damage, can switch to the bench. Hitmonlee has special combo, which you can only use if Hitmonchan used hit and run last turn, does 90 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon for just 1 energy. And then finishing combo does 60 damage to everything, but you can only use it if your Hitmonlee used its attack the turn previous. Special combo. And that is the combo. Obviously, 60 damage to all of your opponent's Pokemon is a huge attack, which is why people go through all of the trouble of trying to establish the combo. Looks like it's going to be a hit and run from this Hitmonchan. Scary prospect as you are hitting into Dodrio for not a knockout, right? 60 damage to Dodrio means that Ballistic Beak is just going to do... Did Dylan pass? Oh, no, used hit and run for 0. That's right. Literally for 0 damage because the Dodrio resists fighting. That's right. It's not weak to fighting. Resists fighting. So Dylan setting up for the next couple turns. Hitmonlee can special combo next turn, 90 damage to the bench. And then Hitmontop, 60 to everything. This Hitmonchan really just kind of offering itself up as a sacrifice, as Dodrio will be knocking it out with Ballistic Beak. Ballistic Beak is going to be serving up 70 damage, plus the 20 from the Powerful Colorless Energy, plus the 20 from the Muscle Band. Ballistic Beak is hitting some pretty decent numbers. And Nate going to toss their entire hand to the bottom of the deck with Squovit, then also has Zooming Draw to draw another card. Here we go. They have Nest Ball. Maybe they can search out Orangaroo with the Instruct ability. Fill their hand to 3. It's a nice little combo to have with the... looks like Orangaroo not in the deck, so... Instruct to 3 is a nice little option to have with the Squovit. Squovit puts the entire hand to the bottom of the deck. And Orangaroo can refill the hand to 3 cards. Just going to be a Nest Ball for Kangaskhan, though. With the Rally Back attack. And Ballistic Beak for the knockouts. As Nate goes to 4 prizes remaining. Here comes Hitmontop. Not Hitmontop, Hitmonlee, excuse me. And now Dylan does have the cards necessary to go for a Hitmonlee special combo. Now, if you're dealing 90 damage to a bench Pokemon, which Pokemon are you choosing? I'm hitting the Snorlax. Hop Snorlax. For sure. What are you hitting, chat? I'm hitting Hop Snorlax here, and it's not close. Make it so that if that thing attacks, it knocks itself out. Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, it's got to be the Hop Snorlax. You have to choose a bench Pokemon, so you can't hit the Dodrio. The Dodrio, I assume the Dodrio is just a problem we'll figure out later. Dodrio, yeah, Dodrio's not great. We'll figure that out later. Got to hit the Hop Snorlax. You figured the Cinccino, the Minccino, and the Squovit are both going down. Fanrotom can go down with the help of Hawlucha. So that's 3 prizes there. I mean, and you can see how Dylan's got a potential win lined up via finishing combo. 60 damage, knocks out Minccino, Squovit, puts Fanrotom within 10. If Dylan hits the Snorlax for 90 here, then it will also finish off Snorlax. That's 4 potential prizes? Which is crazy, right? So, like, yeah, and correct decision there by Dylan targeting down the Hop Snorlax on the bench. Let's see what Nate can do about this. They do find Cinccino, which does spare them a prize card. against the impending finishing combo. Oh, the Fan Rotom does have a Fighting Fury belt, so that will need to be dealt with as well if Dylan wants to take that knockout with the assistance of Halucha. Yeah, so Dylan... Oh, and Guzma gonna bring up this Hitmontop. Now, this is one of the weaknesses of benching Pokemon before you use them, right? I mean, there's definitely an argument to be made for keeping Pokemon in your deck until they're ready to go. And for this reason exactly, as we see, Nate is able to target down this Hitmontop before it gets to use its devastating finishing combo attack. And now Dylan is in a situation where he needs to find a recovery card to bring this thing back. Does not have a good supporter card to guarantee that. Would have to basically draw into Night Stretcher or Rescue Stretcher or something off of this Cynthia and Caitlin. That's not the situation you want to be in. I think I saw a Night Stretcher in deck. It might... Oh, and Rescue. There are 2 Stretchers in deck. So, not great odds. I mean, pretty horrible odds, I would say, of finding the Night Stretcher or the Rescue Stretcher, as Dylan's deck is still very thick. Premium Power Pro in the deck as well. I mean, it's like a card that's situationally good, but when you're spreading, it just doesn't really matter as much, right? Because Premium Power Pro only adds damage to the active, not the bench. Cynthia and Caitlin for Lily's Determination. Does he find the Stretcher? No. So I imagine it's just going to be an energy drop to Ogie Dogie and pass, and just like that, the combo has been ruined. And it's all because Dylan decided to bench that Hitmontop preemptively. I mean, I guess you could make the argument here that Dylan would not have drawn into the resources to go find the Hitmontop. But a devastating place for Dylan to be in. Kind of makes you want to use Tropical Beach. But if Nate goes down to just 2 prizes remaining, can Dylan march back enough of a comeback, right? Like, is it possible even? Nate has also got Boss's Orders in hand. Going to bring up Marshadow and use Make Do, it looks like. Discard an energy, draw 2. Nate does have Tag Call. And dang, that's so crazy. I mean, Dylan just 1 step off of the finishing combo, which would have wreaked havoc on Nate's board. Now we see Nate does play Mallow and Lana in their deck. So Mallow and Lana could maybe heal this Hop Snorlax on a key turn, which would be really tough to deal with. Nate already played Boss. Let's see. Yo, Nate already played Boss this turn, so Nate is in the process of using a double supporter right now. Thanks, Natalie. And Dodrio will take the knockouts. Let's see what Dylan can do. Can Dylan mount the comeback that he needs in order to in order to go 3-1. Let's see. First Pokegear. Would love to find like Iono. Raihan could be decent if Dylan had a recovery card to bring back Marshadow, as Marshadow could just win this game by itself if Dylan can get Marshadow going. But Raihan pretty useless if Dylan doesn't have a good Pokemon to accelerate to. Dylan, the Raihan goes to your hand, buddy. Thank you. All right, Trainer's Mail. Finds Field Blower and Bird Keeper. Field Blower does get rid of the Fighting Fury Belt and the Muscle Band, which is pretty good. Hop's Choice Band, Fury Belt. Yep, those are both good cards to get rid of with Field Blower. Dylan's got to get... Basically, Dylan needs to recover the Marshadow. And like... get it ready. It basically has to be a Lily for 8 here. Because you're getting ready to take a knockout, so you might as well Lily for 8. And then... Dylan needs to find a Night Stretcher or Rescue Stretcher, get the Marshadow back, and then needs to like Raihan to the Marshadow next turn, and then needs to Raihan for Scoop Up Net and Scoop Up Net the Hitmonlee, and then just go solo Marshadow and just solo the rest of this deck. All right, Dylan takes the first prize of his game. With Ogie Dogie. Good punch. But Nate has got some good cards in their hand now, as Dylan was unable to disrupt it. They've got Raihan and pretty much anything they could want they've got. Raihan going to accelerate Basic Psychic to the Kangaskhan. Let's see what options they've got in the deck. Looks like it's just all different types of basic energy in this deck, which is a lot of fun. Maybe they play Crispin to accelerate an extra energy into play. That would be a lot of fun. I'd imagine that they probably do play. I think I see the Crispin there in the hand, yeah. So now Nate deciding what to get off of the effect of Raihan. Can go get anything out of the deck. Put it into their hand. U-turn board seems like a good choice for the Chinchino in the active spots. So you can pivot into Kangaskhan. Kangaskhan rally back for 120. Which doesn't quite handle the Ogadogi, but at this point, Nate only has 2 prizes left to take, so. So they do have time on their side. And it is just going to be Kangaskhan coming up for that rally back attack. 120 damage. Cramorant down as well. Could be a good attacker to finish off this Okie Dokie next turn. That's why Dylan desperately needs to get that Marshadow going. The Okie Dokie will probably survive 2 turns, which is what it wants to do. And there is the Night Stretcher. Okay, so this is how Dylan can win. Gotta go get... Yeah, there are like no basic Pokemon left in this deck. Fighting Gong can only get... Dylan, don't be... Can you stop Dylan from using Fighting Gong to go get Rocket's Tyranitar? He can't do that. Dylan just used Fighting Gong to go get Rocket's Tyranitar. He can't do that. He needs to stop. Stop the table. All right. He's going to go get the basic fighting energy with Fighting Gong and then quick ball away the basic fighting energy. Okay, very good. Thank you, Dylan. There we go. Problem solved. And then we'll use Colress's Tenacity. Go get a Stadium and an Energy card. I don't know if there's any of that left in the deck, to be honest. There's literally none. Dylan just ended up having to get... Yeah, there's a Stadium. Okay. So Dylan needs to Night Stretcher for Marshadow. Attach to Marshadow. Hope that Nate does not gust up the Marshadow. And then proceed to win the game with Scoop Up Net on Hitmonlee and just solo Marshadow the rest of the game. Marshadow might be problematic, guys. I don't know. I just like it's a thought that the fact that this is possible just it shouldn't be possible, right? What do you guys think about Marshadow? I think the card definitely has the... Dylan needs to use Night Stretcher right now to go get the Marshadow. Attached to the Marshadow. All right. And I think Dylan has made a huge error by doing that. Like, why didn't you go get the Marshadow? It didn't even attach for turn. What are you doing, dude? If Dylan top decks Raihan and gets himself out of this, well, I guess Marshadow doesn't knock out this Cramorant, so Dylan's still bodied and loses for sure. All right, Crispin getting a couple energy attachments. Hops Cramorant. We'll be taking the knockouts with Fickle Spitting now. For 120, Okie Dokie goes down. Nate to 1 prize remaining. All right, and what does Dylan do? Scoop! And Nate is your round number 4 winner with their colorless deck. There you go. GG's, GG's, GG's. Dylan unable to get the combo going with Hitmon combo. Nate victorious in round 4. Yeah, I don't know. I think, yeah, Marshadow, I mean, Marshadow is a heck of a card. It'll be interesting to see how the card ages. It's a heck of a card. I think that Marshadow has, like, potential to be. But then also, I don't know. I don't know, right? Yeah, Dylan didn't do any of the Hitmon combo stuff, which is why he lost there. I think if Dylan actually was comboing, then he had a real shot. If Dylan got like Rocket's Tyranitar into play, a lot of things I wanted to see from Dylan's side of the board there. Dylan kind of just, missed the combo by letting that Hitmontop get knocked out, couldn't recover it, and then just like kind of flailed around until he lost. But yeah, Marshadow. Phew. Marshadow, a heck of a card. I mean, because like hypothetically, Marshadow should kind of just like solo colorless, not like, but almost should kind of like solo colorless and lightning. Like by itself, almost. Because it literally is invincible like so many turns. Which is kind of insane. Like, yeah, Marshadow kind of sus. Marshadow's kind of sus, I think. Because and technically, like, there is counterplay, I guess. Right? Because you can, like, Ranger. So the Marshadow does 60 damage for 2. Let's take a look at it. Marshadow does 60 damage for 2. God, it would be crazy. I'm not saying anything right now. I'm just saying, do not take this as like, oh, Andrew's talking about making moves. No, that is not what's happening. We're just having a wholesome discussion, okay? So don't even start with me on that, all right? But it would be kind of funny if there were 2 different banned Marshadows. That would just be funny. I mean, but that's not what I'm saying. We're just having a wholesome discussion, okay? We're having a wholesome discussion. That's it. 90 hit points. Does 60 damage. If your opponent's Pokemon is knocked out by damage from this attack, prevent all damage from an effective attack done on this Pokemon. Becomes invincible, right? And then, so you've got multiple ways to buff its damage output. You've got Muscle Bend. You've got Strong Energy, right? And with Muscle Bend and Strong Energy, Marshadow can be doing 100 damage. And can just go on these little tirades where it's just like invincible for multiple turns in a row, especially when you have like Lysander, Guzma, Boss's Orders, Escape Rope. You can kind of just like put your opponent in these weird situations where like you're just hitting evolving Pokemon for knockout while remaining invincible yourself. The only real, so like Marshadow counterplay. First up, you got Escape Rope, right? It's like a big one. On the turn that your opponent like happens to get a ding with Marshadow, if you can Escape Rope around the Marshadow, that's big. That was a strategy that was used a lot against the Garchomp, right? This Garchomp similarly can become invincible. It's got the Sonic Slip ability. Prevent all damage from an effective attack done on this Pokemon until the end of your opponent's next turn. You boss and sniped it with Bolt. Lee, that's not a legal play. Lee, that you cheated, actually. I want you to know that. Lee Hoffman cheated in his game. I don't know who it was against, but you're a poor opponent. This effect does not get removed when it goes to the bench, bro. It does not. Right? I'm pretty sure Or does it? Because Garchomp doesn't get removed. Wait. Or does it get removed because it's an effective an attack? All right, maybe you didn't cheat, bro. But I'm putting it on the maybe list. Is it just because Garchomp's is an ability is why it stays on the bench? All effects on Pokemon get removed, but this doesn't get removed, though. So it's just effects of attacks. All right, Lee, you didn't cheat. Fine, Lee. Fine, I'll let it slide this time, but keep your eye on that guy. All right. That's fine. But it's interesting. So Sonic Slip can actually be activated on the bench. So it doesn't get removed when it goes to the bench either. It's invincible regardless. But this is the effect of an attack. So it does get removed when it goes to the bench. All right. So you can use escape rope and then snipe it on the bench. That's interesting. All right, that's a play that Lee did, which is a recently decided legal play, actually, and totally fair game, and you guys should actually all do that because that seems like a really good heads-up play and not at all cheating. So yeah, that's good. So you've got escape rope. You've got... No one is going to play Pokemon Ranger, dude. No one. Remove all effects of attacks on each player and their Pokemon. Nobody is Pokemon Rangering, dude. Nobody. Channeler? Remove all effects of attacks on you and each of your Pokemon. No. That doesn't... Channeler doesn't work, guys. Read it again. Channeler doesn't work. I'm right this time. Channeler removes all effects on you and your Pokemon. Has nothing to do with their Marshadow. So, yes, their Marshadow is still invincible, but you and your Pokemon removed of all effects. All right, so yeah, super nobody's playing Channeler. Don't even look at that card. Ranger does actually do... Ranger does actually do what you want it to do and removes the effect on the Marshadow, but nobody is going to play Pokemon Ranger just to deal with Marshadow. I don't think so. That would be silly, right? In water, you can play cards like Fion, Whirlpool Suction. Yeah, baby, let's go. A little push. You could play Iron Bundle. Hyper Blower. Boom. You could play Rhyme. Yo. Rhyme. Okay. You could also play a deck that doesn't have any Pokemon with under 100 hit points. And then, of course, you know, you got your boss, you got your Guzma, you got your snipe attacks. Fighting's just really good right now. Yeah, fighting is just really good. There's counterplay for sure, but You're going to have to actually think about it. Like, it's crazy because people, for the longest time, you have to think about Dragon when you're building your deck, right? Like, a lot of people, almost everybody switched off 60 hit point basics and is playing 70 hit point basics literally just because of Raging Bolt, right? Like, Raging Bolt changed the metagame. Thank you, Noiver Knockout, for that sub in the 79 months. Noiver Knockout, appreciate you. Thank you. It's a lot of time spent at the gym. Appreciate the love. But yeah, I mean, you think about decks, like, you're considering Raging Bolt and the Dragon deck when you're building your Gym Leader Challenge deck to be competitive. You're considering Psychic, Wobbuffet when you're building your Gym Leader Challenge deck to be competitive. You're thinking about cards like that. You're thinking about Wailord. How do I beat Wailord, right? Now, you need to think of, added into that equation is like the fighting deck, Ogie Dogie, and Marshadow, right? Like, you're thinking about Ogie Dogie. You're thinking about Marshadow. Like, how do you deal with cards like that? The fighting deck is tier 1. I mean, it's a tier 1 meta deck now. Like a top 3 deck in the format, I would say. I'm putting, like, if we're talking GLC tier list, it's Psychic, Water, and Fighting are in the top 3. Yes, I will be at Milwaukee, yes. What's the premier card for every type? Well, you're going to have lots of discussion about that. For fighting, Ogie Dogie. Fighting, it's this guy. For psychic, it's this guy. For grass, it's this guy. Because it evolves from Groddle, which has an amazing ability too. So it's like kind of those two. For water, it's this guy. Dare you to argue with me. It's Telly, bro. It's got to be the Telly. For lightning, yeah, Electivire. For lightning, it's either Electivire, which does 50 to everything, or it's Regieleki. Not this one. This one. For dragon, it's Raging Bolt, I would say. This card kind of embodies everything that, like, is tough to deal with about dragon. It snipes things, and it does 1/3 of the active. It has 130 hit points, just like, yep. Just a very aggressive card. Metal. Zamazenta. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. If you're talking about, like, the premier lightning Pokemon, maybe it is both Dynamotors, right? Like, maybe it's Flaffy and Electric. I mean, that is, like, the unique thing about fighting is that about lightning is that they have two Dynamotor Pokemon, right? Is Snorlax even the premier colorless? Is it not Fan Rotom now? Is this not the premier colorless Pokemon? Also, what if this is the premier colorless Pokemon? I at least think it might be Fan Rotom. Like, Fan Rotom's so broken. Snorlax is your big basic, but Ursaluna might be the best card in the pool now. Colorless Control might be the best colorless deck. Something to think about. There's at least a conversation to be had. It could certainly just be Snorlax, and nobody would give you a hard time about that if you're just like, yeah, it's just this, right? Like, you could just say, like, oh, yeah, it's the best colorless Pokemon, and people will be like, okay, sure. It's really freaking good, right? I mean, 180 for 3, 150 hit points. Yeah, it's a crazy card. Crazy card, crazy card. But Fan Rotom might just be, like, the best card in the pool. Altaria. That's fun. Move all damage counters if you have a heavily damaged Pokemon. Fan Rotom. You can always tell what card is the strongest in the pool by which one people want banned the most. People aren't yelling about Snorlax from Lost Origin anymore. They're yelling about this guy. But now nobody's yelling about this guy because now fighting is like crazy, right? So colorless is like very balanced right now. I would say it's like a balanced good deck. Yeah, Fan Rotom does have the potential to be like the strongest single Pokemon in the form. I mean, Fire. What's Fire's marquee guy? It's so sad, but like this is like Fire's best guy. The Volk. I would say I mean, Unbroken Bonds Volcanion is very good. Gouging Fire is like almost Meg Cargo in a lot of ways does feel like kind of like your quintessential fire guy because it's like such a classic ability. It's just good, right? Like this is never... I'm pretty sure this is never going to be like a bad ability. Like it's just always kind of good. So maybe it is. Maybe this is your premier fire guy, which would explain why fire is having a tough time because it doesn't have like your quintessential big basic, right? Volcanion, I don't know. I'm not going to lie. I actually consider this Volcanion in quite a few fire decks because like fire just desires a guy that does 160. Fire just like deeply desires a Pokemon that can do 160 for 3. And this is like the guy, right? And which means that you need to not play Unbroken Bonds Volcanion, which really sucks. But like, you know what also sucks? Everything that Unbroken Bonds Volcanion is accelerating to. So like, we're getting Reshiram now. Holy crap, last round is up, folks. Let's go. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Round number 5. Gym Leader Challenge. League Knights. We've got your heavyweights. Yes. Alex Carpenter on the left versus Benjamin Peacock on the right. Will Alex Carpenter win League Nights with Chris Hill's broken fighting deck that he used to win the 3K just days ago. Big shout out to Ben Peacock. Finished in the top 8 of the standard 3K with his Dragapult Charizard deck. I'm always very impressed by players who can navigate both standard and gym leader challenge. That to me, when you are proficient in 2 different formats, that to me is the sign of a good Pokemon TCG player. Round number 5. We've got Alex Carpenter is 4-0 with the RDT fighting deck. That's Rocks, Dogi, Tinglu, piloted by Chris Hill, to the 3K win this past weekend against Ben Peacock with Metal. And honestly, Metal could have a real shot here, as Metal has a lot of very beefy Pokemon that are tough to knock out. And also, I think Ben's the type of guy that's going to play some healing cards, you know? Also, Ben's the type of guy who's just goated like that. So I could see Ben tearing it up with his Metal deck for sure. Looks like we got Ting Lu in the active spot for Alex, and for Ben we have got the Iron Crown. Iron Crown's got the deleting slash attack. Do 120 damage for just 2 energy. So a great Pokemon to start. 130 hit points as well. And Alex has now filled his bench to 3, which means that deleting slash will be doing a fully powered 120 damage. Alex does have the turn 1 Ting Lu. Discards the stadium, does 30 damage to everything with its Ground Crasher attack. It looks like Ben is going for Guzma and Hala here. Don't discard that research, Ben. Come on. Come on, Ben. Do not do that. Now, I suspect that Ben plays maybe the Crystal Cave. Yes, Ben plays Crystal Cave. And Muscle Band. Holy cow, here he goes. He's got the sauce. Shield energy, minus 10 damage. Muscle Band for the KO. Crystal Cave to completely remove Alex Carpenter's attack. And just like that, good Lord, Iron Crown, deleting slash, 140 damage, turn 2, going first. Whee! But Alex Carpenter still has the potential for a nasty response with that Riolu promoted. All it takes is Lucario plus energy, and I see Lucario in Alex's hand. Now this is going to be a huge response KO from Alex. Lucario fighting energy. And just like that, back and forth. Avenging Knuckle swings for 150 damage, minus 10 for the shield energy, 140, still enough to clear. And now Ben has got Rescue Stretcher for the Iron Crown, U-turn board. And Research for 7. Do see a reversal energy. Hisuian Heavy Ball. No targets there off of the Hisuian Heavy Ball. Evo Soda targeting the Duraludon on the bench. Want to get Arcaludon into play. Arcaludon, kind of a big dude, has got 180 hit points. Just kind of massive. And its Iron Blaster attack does 160 damage. And we do see Ben Peacock does have that reversal energy in hand, so if he does go behind, be able to activate that. Looks like it might just be... Yep, Bronzong now online. Metal Lynx can charge an energy to Arcaludon. Metal energy to the active... And I think we see the new item card in Ben's hand, which decreases the damage that your metal Pokemon take by 30 during the turn that you played it. That is certainly an interesting card to have access to, kind of like an inverse Premium Power Pro. Now with Arcaludon's ability online, Metal Bridge, all of Ben's Pokemon that have Metal Energy attached have free retreats. It is crazy just how powerful this fighting deck is with Lunatone and Solrock. I mean, just the draw power is absolutely insane. Getting 3 additional cards to hand every turn. We see Alex is using Arven as supporter for turn. Can go get Nest Ball and a tool card. Looks like the tool card will be U-turn board. And Nest Ball is going to go for Ogie Dogie. Looks like maybe Ting Lu is going to come up and delete that, remove that Crystal Cave from play. Which will actually get the 30 damage to stick on all these Pokemon. This is a weird spot that Ben is in for sure. No basic metal energy is just stalled out after this research. Oh, it does have Verseeker actually, so can go in. Just kind of deciding where do you want to put that reversal energy. Metal Defender. Looks like Reversal Energy is going to the benched. Argalodon, and then just backing this up with another. I was going to say research. Marnie here, I think, is greedy. Because Alex just has, like, at a certain point, like, you just kind of have to go. Like, Alex has the Lunatone Soul Rock. He's going to turn 4 cards into 7, right? Like, very easily. So don't love that. You know, the hand disruption is going to just go much. You know, limiting yourself to 5 cards is going to be much harder to deal with. For you than it is for the fighting deck. Crazy to say that, right? Because fighting decks traditionally had a really tough time dealing with hand disruption. I'm going to retreat into the Radiant Jirachi. Use that ability. Look at the top 2 cards of your deck. Leave 1 on top. And then take the other. Looks like Parallel City going to get the grab there. I mean, Parallel City is a good play because it's going to force Alex to discard a Pokemon. It's probably got to be the Dogi, right? Like, don't love that. Looks like Okidogi is probably going to be the choice for the discard. And just a pass from Ben. Definitely a tough decision to play the Parallel, right? Because if you play the Parallel, you are just feeding the Ting Lu. The Ting Lu, he desires stadiums to use Ground Crasher. And when you just give him the stadium like that, you just give him another 30 damage to everything. Which doesn't immediately do anything. Ting Lu isn't taking a knockout this turn. But the Bronzong would be within 30 damage. And like I said, Marnie just not really doing anything to Alex, as he's just able to refill his hand with that Lunar Cycle turn after turn, with the rocks sitting safely on the bench now. And Ting Lu just going to smack for 30 to everything. Got to put the damage counters on, right? Why are the damage counters not placed? Is there a reason why damage counters wouldn't have been placed? Oh, Metal Defender. Holy cow, dude. What? That's crazy. The Metal Defender. I forgot all about it. Yeah, the Iron Defender. It's minus 30 to all your metal Pokemon. Yeah, that's pretty nuts, actually. That's crazy. I'm just like, I'm in disbelief that it stopped the damage from everybody. But it just did. All right, here comes a rope. So now Alex got to promote a Pokemon. Right, and Ben's got an easy knockout with Iron Crown. Deleting Slash for 120, unless it's the Lucario that gets the send, right? And you have to imagine it's not Lucario. Like, there's no way you push Lucario here. Look, and if it is Lucario gets the push, then you're like, okay, well, then I'll send my Arcaludon, right? But here you just send the Crown, Got Metal Energy in hand. It's all good. And you see Ben is like actually stabilized versus this fighting deck, which is refreshing to see. I feel like I haven't seen anybody actually like set up multiple attackers. And it's tough. Don't get me wrong. The fighting deck puts on a lot of pressure. But certainly, part of what's keeping Ben in this game is the defensive cards that his deck plays. Iron Defender just bought him a complete turn against Ting Lu. I mean, he's erased 2 Ting Lu attacks, right? Which is kind of insane when you think about it. And that's probably the reason why he's succeeding in this game. Is because he has blocked 30 spread from Ting Lu twice. He undid one of them with the Crystal Cave, and then he played Iron Defender, which also prevented another. Looks like Cynthia and Caitlin going to be the supporter from Alex this turn. Can go get Arvin. We'll draw 3. Find Strong and Aurora Energy. No, Alex does not have his Lunatone in play right now. We'll be able to take this return knockout with the Lucario, though. Halucha coming into play. I believe that does stop effects of abilities. The Metal Goggles. So Halucha will ping 10 onto both the Radiant Jirachi and Varoom. Supporter already been played for turn. Lucario's Avenging Knuckle. Going to take this knockout. Alex has to decide if there's a Pokemon he wants to attach to. Doesn't have an energy drop. Doesn't have a meaningful energy drop this turn. I actually might have liked to see an energy get dropped onto the Ting Lu. Ting Lu can attack. I mean, dude, he's not like the strongest, but like Hammer In does 110. I mean, push comes to shove, and if you drop that strong energy onto Ting Lu, then Hammer In does 130, right? So like, I would have liked to see Alex Carpenter drop the strong energy onto the Ting Lu there. I think that that's actually like a very reasonable play, because then your Ting Lu is just 1 energy away from doing 130, which could be meaningful. And Ben using a Cynthia and Caitlin of his own here. Finds Trainer's Mail, Buddy Buddy Poffin. Trainer's Mail. We're seeing the top 4. Get to pick a trainer card there. Put it into the hand. And it's going to be Artisan. And Ben just going to take that big knockouts with Archaludon. Iron Blaster, 160 damage. It's a 180 hit point Pokemon with Metal Goggles attached. So basically negating the 30 damage on it already. It's going to be a tough Pokemon for Alex to take down, especially since he doesn't have any energy acceleration online right now. No Raihan in hand. No Lunatone either. Like I said before, might have been nice to attach the strong energy last turn, but wait, Blood Moon Ursaluna? Can Blood Moon Ursaluna do it? And Blood Moon Ursaluna, it's got the battle hardened ability. Yeah, I mean, would be doing 190 damage here to the Argalodon, which would certainly handle it. But then you got to look at the Zamazenta right there with an energy on it. If Ben can get that thing going, it's going to be tough. All right, Blood Moon Ursaluna has been grabbed off Karina. Battle hardened for 1. You really want to have 2 energy to charge there, but it looks like he doesn't have it. Might just be an additional attack with Ting Lu this turn. I see a Silent Lab in hand. Strong energy. Fighting Fury Belt to Blood Moon Ursaluna as well. Giving that Pokemon 190 HP. Kind of big. And then here comes Silent Lab. Looks like it's just going to be a swing with Ting Lu. 0 damage to the active Argalodon, but everybody else takes 30. I don't know how this interacts. I think that I think it resolves, then gets discarded with the Silent Lab. So yeah, the Zamazenta does still take 30. You get the effect of the stadium before it goes. And let's see what Ben can do. He does have some Pokemon that are kind of worse for the wear right now. I mean, you could imagine a world where Alex Carpenter takes a 3-prize turn, right? The Varoom, it's got 30 hit points left. The Jirachi, 30 hit points left. And the Bronzong has 30 hit points left. That's 3 prizes right there. So if Ben can't find the Revavroom, he's really going to want that Revavroom bad. Keep in mind this Argalodon cannot attack back-to-back turns. So, not a great place to be in. Let's see, Bronzong has got Metal Lynx. Maybe we get an attack with Heatran. Counter energy to the Heatran. But this is looking really dicey for Ben. The evolution is insane. And this is why you don't play the cards, right? Like Ben started playing cards before he decided to make this play. And like maybe your play changes based on what you find off the Jirachi. Ben does have the metal energy in hand, so we'll be able to use that. Doesn't want to play the stadium, though, but keep in mind, Ben Peacock did grab this stadium the other turn off a trainer's mail, I think, right? So, like, Weird situation now. Alex would take 2 prizes with Ting Lu. Has to have a stadium, though. Don't know if he has access to one. Yeah, if Ben had something like a Lusamine in his deck, that would be like a game-winning play. Just get the Crystal Cave, heal your Pokemon again. I don't think he plays that card, though. Let's see, Alex Carpenter going to Verse Seeker for God knows what. Probably Corina. Nope, it's Colress's Tenacity to go get the Stadium. And Energy. So that is going to be a double knockout from Ting Lu. Brooklet Hill. I don't know that there's any targets in the deck for Brooklet Hill. So we do see, yeah, I mean, I guess he's going to check, right? And he's like, nah, no targets. Okay. All right, now I guess we're actually checking for targets. And there is a target. Okay, Brooklet Hill. We'll grab Marshadow. Yeah, this is getting pretty nasty. Coming down the line. I mean, Alex has taken 2 prizes here, going to take the lead. And then with an energy drop on Marshadow, it's like, you got to imagine Blood Moon is like going to be able to handle whoever you promote here. Bronzong is gone. 30 damage to everything else, not the Zamazenta because of its ability. Not the Arcaludon either because of its hat. All right, so here comes Arcaludon. And now Alex, just 2 prizes left to Ben's 3. Not a lot of great supporters in Ben's hand, but he does have some draw available to him. At this point, you have to just draw with with your Revavroom, right? Like, what is he doing? You don't want to attach that energy. You want to draw with it, don't you? Don't you want to draw cards, Ben? Didn't you want to draw with that? Didn't you want to draw, Ben? All right, here we go. Just go up Hex, I guess. Take a knockout. Okay. Didn't want to draw. I guess. Wanted to keep his Arcaludon instead. Now, Lysander. Ooh, Arvin. Okay, I was thinking it was going to be Lysander knockout with Marshadow. Oh, the Aurora Energy discarded. Okay, now it's... I see. Yeah, this is tough. Marshadow, Loki looking insane right here. Becomes invincible. Right? Just absolute insanity. And then Blood Moon. Unless it was like a Lusamine top deck for Crystal Cave back. Like, that would have been pretty insane. But I don't think that there's any Pokemon that Ben has that can survive this massive hit from Blood Moon Ursaluna. So Cobalion comes into play. There's no energy in the discard pile for that metal saucer, and you can tell Ben's just kind of spinning his wheels. Nothing to do. It's looking over. No Pokemon can stop the 1-2 punch of Blood Moon and Marshadow. Alex Carpenter is able to transform this game from a losing scenario to a win just like that. All he needs is an energy to finish the deal with Blood Moon. He's got the energy in hand. Ben has to play Crispin to just go get an energy. We just saw how crazy Ting Lu was in this game, taking that double prize in the middle there. Ben with the early lead, unable to hang on. And Marshadow just closing the door on this game by becoming invincible. And the fighting deck looks as if it is going to reign supreme once again. Taking down a field of 17 players here at our Gym Leader Challenge League night. You can tell these guys just kind of talking out all the potential lines. Ben doesn't really have anything. I think he has to go up at guard press. And all Alex has to do is retreat. Guzma, doesn't matter. Over. And just like that, Alex Carpenter has won his third badge at Gym Leader Challenge League Night. It's the real deal, folks. The fighting deck, RDT. Rocks Dogi Ting Lu. A deck that Chris Hill used to win the 3K. Has done it again. This time at the hands of Alex Carpenter, who's now won his third badge. The Gym Leader Challenge League Nights here at Full Grip Games. All right, folks, that'll do it for me tonight. 5-0, Alex Carpenter fighting. Don't show up to your GLC League unless you got an answer to it, folks. It's the real deal. It's the real deal. Gotta prep. Practice against it. Figure out how to take it down. That's the homework for this week. All right. I'm out of here. I'll be back on Wednesday for some more testing for Milwaukee. I'm not going to be streaming GLC League next Thursday because I'll be at Milwaukee. So wish me luck as I attend my first regional championship in about a year and a half. Should be a lot of fun. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you to everybody who showed up at the shop to play GLC tonight at Full Grip Games. You guys have a great evening.